I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show!
Good morning! Happy Monday, Draft Monday. BG, right back door. Shut that door. It is a Draft Monday all across the Delaware Valley, and I think a good one. We'll get into the whole thing, how we're looking at it. This was about, I think, the Eagles once again going all defense. The Eagles once again look zagging when everybody's zigging. They have really been ahead of the curve, and I think this draft again is the head of the curve. Now, I think day two went a little awry for them as far as where the board fell. Like, the board fell so well on Thursday night, so you got Jihaad Campbell. I think Friday the board didn't go their way, and a couple of things, and we'll get into it, most notably with tight end. So we'll get into that. But overall, I mean, I like the picks. I just like the idea of going tough, going defense, linebacker, safety, D-line, like O-line. You know, you're in it. You're going and getting tough. And I think they've doubled down on toughness. That's the one thing I take away from the draft. Overall, fun weekend. Even though Shador the idea that Shador lingered into Saturday was the kind of hijacked the draft. I thought overall this draft was kind of indicative of the NFL's coming of age. And what I mean by, there weren't a lot of teams that I had that I think were head scratchers, a lot of their picks. I think the lion's share of the picks by every team made sense to me. It was weird. It wasn't a draft where I went, oh my God, wow, they reached here, or look at this kid, why did they go that? I thought everybody was pretty solid. I thought the fact that the quarterbacks that lingered and lasted was warranted. You know, that was the type of draft that I thought it was. So again, I think they took a page from the Eagles. I think the Eagles showed the league how to win. And you win with on both sides of the fronts, right? O-line, D-line, and with a really good defense that's strong and tough, powerful. I think the Eagles, have shown you the blueprint of success in 2025. There was a whole cycle. It's interesting, right? Because Andy was ahead of the cycle when he got here in 1999. Everybody was running back crazed. And he was like, no, this is going to become a passing league. And so he believed in what they called the shell philosophy. And that was, he wasn't going to go crazy with linebackers. He was going to look at his defensive ends and his corners, right? Like the shell of a defense. And he wanted to put all his money there. And O-line, and look, say what you want about Andy, but he did run the ball. Like Deuce Staley, Westbrook, Buckhalter, like they ran the ball. But, they love to throw it. You know it. Like when T.O. gets here and the offense is a toy. Like, that's the way Andy looked at it. And the Eagles were ahead of the curve because everybody followed thereafter. And we were waiting for the pendulum to kind of go back, and it did. And the Eagles were ahead of it. I mean, one of the reasons why they win in 2018 wasn't because they were this great team, was because they dominated both fronts. Every free agent they picked up worked, right? Like, they were able to kind of hit on everything, and it was for 1 year a huge success. But he went back and rebuilt this thing, and now he's built it perfectly with an emphasis on defense. Like, they went defense again. First time, about the linebacker, Jerry Robinson, since 1979. But they went since 2022, 10 of their 12 first-round picks have been defensive players. It's amazing that they have gone defense, and they have gone tough, and they have gone throughout the SEC, the best teams of the SEC, Georgia, Alabama, right? Like, this is what they are. And I love it. I think it works. It works in a big way. So we'll dive into the picks. But, listen, I like Mukuba. I think everybody says that he's, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, which is a good comp. Physical, could do a lot of different things. Got a little bit of an edge. Ty Robinson, you get a beast of the inside on that D-line. I love Ty Robinson. In fact, we're going to talk to Matt Rhule coming up in about 15 minutes to give us the skinny on Ty Robinson. He loves him. We were texting, and he goes, dude, I'll come on the show right now to talk about this kid. I love this kid. So can't wait to talk to Matt. And then, a lot of this stuff made sense, right? Let's go D-backs. Let's go O-line projects. Let's get, let's go get our man and Stoutland to go to Stoutland U and see if you can turn some big bodies into some players. You get Kyle McCord to just be a third-string quarterback and develop them and see, who knows, in 2 years, maybe you've developed another chip, right? Another quarterback in the quarterback factory. I mean, that's it. I love that. And I love the fact, I love the kid, and I love the hometown. And I think it's great for him because he don't have to worry about seeing the field. He could just worry about growing and being a quarterback, learning how to play the game behind Jalen and Tanner McKee. So all in all, I thought it was a good draft. Now, again, day 2 went a little bit awry. I think if they had to do it over again, I wonder if they go Fannin with that pick in the second round and not Mukuba, because I think that there was that run on tight ends, and when Fannin went, I know they tried to trade back up to get him. That was I think that thing hit them a little bit. So between O-line and Fannin, the tight end, I think that day 2 got him, because I don't think the board fell the way they wanted it to. But other than that, I think it was another good draft. Another Eagles Howie draft. Good morning, VG.
What's up, brother?
What you doing, buddy?
Just hanging out.
What do you got?
What? A shirt?
Yeah.
A hoodie? Well, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Saw them Saturday at the Met.
Oh, I'm thinking Nick. I'm thinking Sirianni.
Nah, man. Nick Cave's cool.
What's wrong with Sirianni?
He's just not cool. He's all right. He's my coach. I love him, but he's not cool. He does. He's a good head coach.
Oh, God.
He's a good head coach.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You got the sweet Phillies hat on today.
Oh, our boy last night. Shutting down the haters. Look good.
Yeah, no, listen, that was a big win for them. And man, they
had a series, first place Cubs.
I mean, that was a big win for them, especially after it's been like tooth pull, finally things went their way Saturday. But even last night, even in extra innings, they should have put up 5 in extra innings.
You think?
Rojas,
he blows.
Yeah,
I'm over him.
Yeah. But the story is the draft.
All right,
how you feeling?
I don't know. I feel good about the Jihaad Campbell. Everyone says they got a top 12 talent at 32, so I got to be good with that. I mean, Mukuba, it's not a name I heard during our week for the most part. Xavier Watt was maybe someone, Malachi Stark, so I don't know. Seems like he's a physical guy, maybe a ball hawk a little bit.
Yeah, he's
I'm
like
good with
CJ. That's your.
Ain't nobody like CJ.
That's your comp.
You got the swag. You got that swag.
Oh, see, Mukuba's got swag.
Yeah, Mukuba. It's a good name. I like it. So, yeah, I like defense. I'm all about defense. I don't understand no tight end anywhere. I mean, there seem to be a bunch of them around there. People smashing their head for the Syracuse guy later in the 5th round or so.
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
yeah,
we'll
I think the Fannin thing, I think the way the board fell in 2 and 3 kind of, I think they were a little disappointed how it fell.
You think?
Yeah.
All right, what do you think about the Mukuba? I mean, it wasn't someone we really talked a lot about.
Oh, I like him. No,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I like him.
Does he start?
Yeah,
Does he come in
he's
right
got
as
a
a starter?
should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes, I don't know. You never know with these things. I like the fact that they're going defense. I'm all about that. But
No, you're
know,
such an anti-draft guy.
they got a big 6'7" kid
Andrew,
out of Michigan,
he's such an
O-line.
anti-draft guy. He's like, yeah, like he would rather talk Phillies than the draft.
These are the prospects, man. This is the future. Get
I
excited.
mean, they got a lot of bodies. That's all I wanted. Some depth, some special teamers. That's what we got, man. I'm ready to go with that. I mean, anyone that gets my giggy going, I don't know. Jihaad Campbell's a stud. He's going to be here for 10 years and be all pro. He's a beast. I'm good with that. But then, you know, I don't know. You look at the Ravens, and the Ravens do what the Ravens do, don't they? Malachi Starks, and then they get Mike Green.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me. You look at that, you're like, oh, all right, that's two Johns that you think are going to be solid. But Campbell seems like the steal of the draft. So I'm good with this.
Johns.
This guy,
I know,
this guy's so fired up right now. I'm surprised he's even talking. And he's even seen any football or drafts this weekend.
I watched the whole thing. I
His
worked it. I was
Liverpool.
even here working it.
Those Liverpool guys.
That was yesterday. We didn't have draft day on Sunday, so we were good.
You're probably watching premier headlines during highlights during the draft.
Well, you know, I got to vouch for him. He was, in fact, I was at football and I was at baseball because I had a tournament, the never-ending tournament. It was, these tournaments on the weekend. You know, you play a million games, right? Like you just live at the field. And so when the Eagles took Kyle, I got a text, hey, why don't you come on the show? I was like, yeah, I love it. I just come in the middle of the game.
Did you do it?
Well, yeah, as soon as the game ended.
Cool.
So I called it from the field, but Andrew was the one that sent me the text.
Nice.
Yeah, man. See? I waited till Sunday.
I couldn't even, I'll be honest with you, I was so thrilled, but I was so preoccupied because we had just played and, you know, I don't even know if I was half making sense.
No, you did. You were great.
Yeah. You could see the field in the background.
Yeah,
I was in the
great Saturday,
dugout.
man. It was awesome.
Then all the kids came in, so I'm like, I got to get out of here.
I love the McCord pick. I mean, quarterback factory. Let's go. Groom him a little bit. Tanner McKee goes. McCord steps right in as the number 2. I like it.
You seem like, I don't know.
Oh, what do I seem?
You don't seem.
I never
Like,
get crazy about the drafts because there's such a crapshoot half the times. And they're players I don't really know. I mean, anyone other than
I got to get you into
other than
college
you
football.
leatherheads. If there's anyone who's like, oh, I'm going crazy about
I got to get you
the
in
6th round pick, Miles Hinton. It's like, all right, who saw Miles Hinton other than
Oh, his father was Chris Hinton.
all right. Who's that?
You know, Chris Hinton played for the Colts.
Oh, yeah. All right, good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, I got to get you into college football.
All right. I mean, I tried to get it. I watched a lot this year. But, I mean, when you're going to 6th or 7th rounds and 5th rounds, I don't know.
I got you. I got you.
I'm all about Jihaad
Well, we're
Campbell.
going to have, you know what, listen.
I'm going to learn today.
Yeah,
Me and
we're
the
gonna have-
audience are going to learn
We're
today.
going to have Z Berm
Mhm.
and we're going to have Franny Film.
Yeah. Teach us all about these
So
guys.
we're gonna have a lot of educated opinions.
Yeah. I mean, because Frandy seemed lukewarm on Mukuba. We'll see. I'll see you guys battle it out a little bit.
I don't think he. I don't think he. I think, and I get it. I think that, and Z Berm is right when he pointed this out, that there was, you know, a day two kind of got away from him.
You think?
Yeah.
Are you surprised that they went in with like 8 picks and left with 10 players and didn't move up more, package some and move up a little more?
Yeah.
It seems because 10 guys aren't going to make this team, right?
I know they tried
Yeah.
to move up, and they got shut out a lot.
Huh.
And just, you know, it's just the way the draft went. I think it's a product of how the draft went. Like, I think these teams did an overall good job. Like, I really didn't go, oh my God, what were they thinking? I didn't have any of those.
Nowhere?
No.
Okay.
No.
How about the McMillan guy? What do you think about him? Because I saw people on Twitter were like, man, underside, backup cornerback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, McWilliams.
McWilliams?
Yeah.
My bad. I got Mark McMillan on the brain.
Yeah. I mean, again, I got to say it.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I was like a little lukewarm.
Before we get into like serious sports, can I ask you guys I want to ask Andrew, what did they win yesterday? Because my feed was crazy. Was it a championship? Yeah.
They won. Yeah, they won the Premier League.
They won the championship.
Yeah.
But they just it's just winning the regular season.
Correct. It's like the Eagles winning the
Super Bowl. It's so anticlimactic. There's no playoffs. There's nothing.
It's like the Eagles winning the Super Bowl.
Well,
it's not really. I mean, you guys, they ended up playing like a crap team.
Yeah, well, it's weird. They don't do playoffs.
Yeah,
it's point system. So
yeah,
they just have way more points than anybody else.
It's like you could clinch it 2 weeks left and 3 weeks left in the season.
Yeah, I get this. It's weird.
Yeah, that's what they did. There's still like 4 games left.
Exactly.
So they'll just play all their second guys for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's weird that you win and then it doesn't make any sense to an American.
And they all gathered around like, oh, big game. Tottenham stinks this year.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
But it's not around to see them beat up a stink team and then you clinch beating a trash team.
But it's about them winning the championship.
Yeah, it's not about that game per se.
That's what's weird about it. Is they look at how we do sports and they think we're nuts because we had this whole playoff system.
Right.
Which, by the way, devalues the regular season. As we find out in baseball, in baseball, but in the NBA.
Oh, well, NBA for
and
sure.
hockey.
Yeah.
Although the NHL play, I was up till 2 a.m. watching
Edmonton Kings overtime.
Dude, it's electric.
Brady's saying home doesn't matter on a home ice. I don't know. The Blues win 2 in a row at home. Edmonton wins 2 in a row at home.
And they got the buck. Hella buck.
Yeah, I think home ice is a little something.
Yeah, it was great stuff. But that's what that is.
Yeah, just seems anticlimactic.
You know, I feel you. Anyway, we got coming up Matt Rhule.
All right, let's go. Leatherhead City.
All right,
yeah,
we get to talk to Matt. Although Matt's the greatest. I love him. We go back a long ways. And when we were texting about Ty Robinson, and he goes, man, I love this kid.
Okay.
I'll come on the show now. You want me on the show?
That's good to hear as an Eagles fan, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about this kid.
I'm going to hear about the stories and the whole thing. So we'll talk to Matt coming up, then the Brain, then Zach, and then Franny Films. We got you covered every which way with the draft the weekend. Boldy tomorrow.
Like a war room in here. There's like monitors everywhere. I don't know where to look.
Yeah, we got,
the draft coverage was nonstop. These guys killed it.
Yeah, it was great stuff. All right. You want to tell us a little bit about Empire and our friends?
All right. Everybody needs good flooring. You need your home court, home field, home ice advantage. You need your home flooring advantage because good flooring is where a good room starts to take shape. At Empire today, they got flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. Like you heard it. You go to the big box stores, try and find some flooring. You wander around the aisles. You don't know what you're looking at for the most part. You can't find anyone. If you do find someone in the flooring department, they really don't know what they're talking about. They might spend that day there, another day in lumber, another day in electricity. Empire today, they live and breathe flooring. So they'll be with you every step of the way, making it a whole different ballgame. And their flooring experts bring their virtual digital design showroom to your house on a laptop. So you take some pictures of your house where you're going to put the flooring in. You pick out some samples and you see how it looks in your house before you install it. So you know if it goes well, if the colors match, if you like it. And with Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day if they got your flooring in stock. So schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are better at home. PHLY listeners can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code PHLY. That's right, $350 discount with the code PHLY. Restrictions do apply, so visit Empire Today/PHLY for full details.
All right, Empire. That's it. All right.
Today.
Thank you. I was waiting for that. Hey, let's talk about Rothman Orthopedics and talk about getting back to doing what you love to do. All right, you're a weekend warrior or you just like trying to keep up with your kids like I am, whether it's, baseball or football. Today, he doesn't have any baseball. So today, we'll throw for 2 hours. Today's about accuracy.
2 hours of throwing?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, so we'll have the accuracy stuff to work on today.
What does that mean?
So I have different points that he has to hit. Tires, everything.
Okay.
You're right. Dylan Raiola threw a 50-yard pass in a basketball hoop.
Saw that.
All right.
Pretty good.
And I showed that to Massimo. I go, this is what you need to work on. Accuracy. All right.
Yeah.
So to keep up with it, I'm going to have to catch stuff, run with them, throw with them. And that's where Rothman comes into play. All right. Rothman's teams of experts is here to help. Evidence-based care, a mission to restore your mobility. They're going to get you back on your feet and doing to what you love. All right. Don't let payback. Rothman doctors, guess what? They have a team for each body part right here in our backyard. Ankle, back, neck, knee, shoulder, elbow, hand. I mean, you name it. It's every body part. It's amazing. Visit RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY to schedule your appointment today and get back to being your best self. Rothman Orthopedics, we're getting you back in the game is their mission. All right. Joining us now, the heck, you know, you always see me wearing my Nebraska gear.
Yeah, I do.
And I wear it with pride because there's no better guy than the head coach of the Huskers. Just got done the Husker games, the spring game this past weekend.
Nice.
Let's go live to Lincoln and talk to our man, Coach Matt Rhule. Yo, what's up, brother?
What's up, man?
Wow, you look great, dude.
Dude, that black is nice.
That is awesome, man.
Send a couple your way. You know? I'll send a couple down your way. So whatever you need.
You know what the best is? I walk around with more Nebraska stuff. Every practice game, people look at me, go red, go big red.
Right. Everywhere, man. I've been in Italy. I've been in Brazil. If you wear some Nebraska, go big red everywhere.
It's unbelievable. When I was in Italy 2 years ago, and I had a Nebraska football T-shirt on, and this woman, I was in Pompeii, and the woman comes up to me and goes, "Oh my God, I'm a huge Husker fan. It was awesome." I was like, "Yeah, well, the coach is a buddy of mine, blah, 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 me too." And it was so much fun. But I was telling everybody that the minute the Eagles took Ty Robinson, you're like, "Dude, I'm on the show. I'll talk about this kid. I love this kid."
I told him, I talked to him right afterwards. I said, "Hey, listen, obviously he went probably go in the third round. He'll slip to the fourth." I said, you won't remember any of that, even a year from now. What you'll know is you're one of the best organizations in sports. I said, you're going to the best city, the best fan base, and they're going to love him. You know, you guys are going to love him. Like you're not going to have to worry about, hey, am I going to get an honest day's work out of this guy? He's blue collar and he's tough.
Yeah, and you know what, you know better than anybody. You're the author of Temple Tough. You know what we love. And this is exactly this kind of kid who's relentless, right? Who's you look at him and he looks the part, right? He's a football player. And that's what people love in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and he just to speak to his loyalty, the type of guy that he is, he gets done with the combine. Man, he's back here training. We got him and Cam Jurgens are training here in the facility. One day I have Cam Jurgens talk to the team. Next day I have Ty talk to the team. He told me, he said, "Hey guys, you know what? They underestimated me in this process. I went down to the Senior Bowl the first day. I'm going with the third group. By the time we were done with that practice, they put me with the ones. They just you look at them and you don't know everything that you're getting. You're getting it. He's an explosive athlete. I mean, he put a show on at the combine. So I think the Eagles added a guy that is going to be a starter in this league.
And he's versatile, right? Up. When you talk about playing up front, he's pretty versatile in that sense.
Yeah, we first got here. Before we had gotten here, he was in a kind of a 3-4 2-gap system. I mean, he could get up to 330 and play the nose.
Wow.
He could be 95, 300 and play, kind of that big, defensive end. Not purely an edge player, but the defensive end, and could be a 3 technique. So to me, I think when I think about the Eagles, we talk a lot about the coaches. I think Coach Washburn is one of the best defensive line coaches in football. And talk about a guy that's been an O-line coach, but a D-line coach. Dom Raiola was here, and Coach Washburn's one of his best friends, and he said, hey, how good is that for Ty? Because Ty is so versatile. He'll continue to accelerate his learning. Like he can rush the passer. I mean, he's just going to thrive, I believe, in Philadelphia.
It's awesome. That is awesome to hear. it's interesting. You look and see how the Eagles won, right? How they've built this thing, and they clearly have been ahead of the curve on being a tough, physical, defensive-minded team, right? They draft Jihaad Campbell, a first time they pick a linebacker since 1978, and it reminds me of kind of what you were looking to do. You saw this trend coming early in the NFL where it was going to get away from a passing league, pass, and back to being more basic tenets of football.
Yeah, I go back to the Super Bowl watching that, and then obviously in college, we're using everything as recruiting. We're talking to guys afterwards about it and recruiting and stuff. And that looked to me like a team that had watched the Chiefs for 2 weeks and were tired of watching the Chiefs. And by the time the game started, they're like, hey, let's get this on. And they didn't back down. They rushed, they rushed the quarterback, all the things you guys know. But you look at how Howie has constructed the team. I mean, best offensive line coach, best offensive line, best elite defense, elite run game. So, when you talk about what wins in the playoffs, what carries, having a run game is always going to carry. Having a great defense is always going to carry. And so, yeah, we tried to do our first draft in Carolina, started that way. I think the thing that Howie's done masterfully is, they found Jalen Hurts, and they found a guy. I played against Jalen twice in college, and his development, his growth in the NFL. He's such an amazing leader, but his growth has been unbelievable. One of my good friends, an old Temple guy, Scott Leffler, joined the team this year as a quarterbacks coach. And when I was talking to him about the job, I was like, bro, I'd be there tomorrow if I were you, because to work with Jalen, to work with Coach Sirianni, I mean, they've done things the right way.
Yeah, I remember that draft when the Eagles took Hurts, and we were all kind of mystified because of Carson. I remember texting you, and you were going, dude, that's a really good pick. Like, you don't understand. Like, that kid's a winner. And, man, all these years later, you were spot on about it.
Yeah, I think if you make it to that level, you obviously have elite skill sets. Is one guy maybe do something a little bit better? I think who can walk in the locker room and keep everyone on the same page? Who can walk in the locker room and command a guy's respect? And Jalen Hurts, I mean, he went from Alabama. This is a guy that got benched and still stayed the next year, and fought for his team, and then went to Oklahoma and won that team over. So I can't say enough about him. And I've learned, in my career, we have an unbelievable young quarterback here. I mean, we have a kid that's going to be.
I can't wait to talk to you about him. I got to ask you. So we saw the video. I'm showing it to my Massimo. That's ridiculous. And you talk about accuracy. This kid, does he just work constantly?
Well, let me say this about that throw, because you have to understand, in Lincoln, Nebraska, on a day like that, there's probably 30 to 40 mile an hour winds, right? So it'd be like trying to do that on the beach in Avalon or Stone Harbor or something. I mean, the wind is coming, it's blowing it. Just for him to be able to do that, and the thing is, he likes those moments. He wants to go out there and challenge himself. The odds might have been 10%. He works all the time. I mean, he's in here first thing every day. He's constantly doing extra cardio. He's constantly, doing extra stuff to take care of his arm. He knows the offense. I mean, he stands back there when the young quarterbacks are going. He's coaching them. In 1 year, he's gone from a newcomer to college to a veteran, and he'll be here for a couple of years, and he'll move on, and he's gonna, whatever team he goes to, he's gonna accelerate that team because of his work ethic and his command.
What did Dylan? We're talking about Dylan Raiola, who he loves Patrick Mahomes. You tell me if I'm wrong. The way Kobe loved Jordan, and it's really fascinating to watch, because I remember Kobe being close to Kobe and seeing how he worshiped Jordan and tried to imitate him, the whole thing. And it feels like Dylan's doing the same thing with Mahomes. And that's such a great thing. Of all people, right? You want to imitate. He's the best quarterback on the planet.
Yeah, there's always been some pushback on it, on social media. But I guess social media, I mean, what's the point of getting on there and saying positive things, So it's that's maybe it's part of it. But there's always been some pushback on it. And to his point, this is who he grew up watching. Like,
Right.
I used to get into the, I'd get my wiffle ball bat. I'm going to get out and I'm going to, back then I'm going to swing like I'm George Brett. Like,
Yeah.
we're all going to imitate, as we grow up, kind of the guys that we respect. But I think what he's done is he doesn't imitate him; he emulates him. Like he trains, the same. He goes and trains at the same coach, does the same drills. I think the thing is that he's also worked very hard on himself, making sure he's the best version of himself, being comfortable being Dylan. And he's done a good job of that. So yeah, I mean, if we can get him to play like Mahomes, this will be a happy guy right here. So the kid's really talented and humble at the same time.
Yeah, he seems like what a kid. Like he seems like a great kid. I mean, it was a blast watching him, and especially down the stretch, because you kind of figured that the season would go that way, right? Where there's a learning curve, you got a freshman starting, and then like the last couple games of the season. And then you had what's called on the ropes, man, which was an awesome freaking game. It seemed like he started to really click, and the offense really started to hum at the end of the season.
Yeah, we went out, second to last game, played Wisconsin. We didn't beat Wisconsin around here in 12 years. Scored 44 points. He was on. We went to Iowa. The game came down to the end. Unfortunately, we lost. It was they're a great team. It was a great game, and then went to the bowl game and played. Took these guys from all from Nebraska, Florida, Texas. Took them up to New York City and let them see what the city's like around Christmas. And he went out there and he played a great game there. So he but even now he's so much further ahead of where he was. I mean he's gonna be a really good player in college football this year.
Hey, what's the this new landscape? I know we're waiting for the judge to rule on roster limits. I mean, this whole challenge, I mean, you're in the middle of this thing and it just explodes, right? Like, what's this challenge like? And, as someone that loves Temple, can a Temple exist in this climate?
Well, just to put it in perspective first, it would be like Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni sitting there and Saquon Barkley walking in and saying, hey, you know what? I've decided to enter the free agent portal. Well, we have a deal for 3 more years. No, I've decided I'm going to, someone else offered me more money. I mean, the level of tampering, the level of cheating, the level of, it is so underhanded that it's like, it is what it is, right? It's out in the open. So the portal closed last Friday night, 11:59. At like 12:02, I texted our compliance person, like, hey, any late additions? No. Great. Poured myself a drink and, sat there and relaxed for it. So it's just crazy because, to the point about Temple, I think back to the teams that we had, that were really, like in 2015, we beat Penn State, we lost the game to Notre Dame. We had like a Hassan Reddick coming back, PJ Walker coming back. Those guys would be getting offered at Alabama, at Georgia, Penn State. They would all be getting offered to go everywhere. So that will be hard to maintain moving forward. However, I will say this: there's 10,000 kids that are in the portal, and so I think the great coaches at the Group of 5 level will go out and say, "Hey, what talent's out there?" And maybe you go from being I'm got a 4-year plan to a 2-year plan. We're all trying to figure that out,
right?
But Casey Keeler's a really good coach. He's won everywhere, and he's won. People forget that when he was the head coach at Delaware, he was the master of like Division I bounce back and transfers, and he won at a high level. So when they hired him, I know they talk a lot about the Philly roots and all that. I saw a guy that he's been able to win in Delaware, he's been able to win in Texas, he's been able to win by getting transfers back. He knows how to coach them quickly, and Temple deserves it as long as the university's putting their support behind it. As long as they're feeding the program and giving them what they need. You're not going to have the NIL budget everyone else has, but there's a way, and I think Coach Keeler will probably figure out that way.
Is how drastically is that going to change too? Because there's going to be a cap, and then there's going to be the NIL stuff, which will be, I guess they'll have a watchdog organization to make sure that the deals are legitimate type of thing. Like, what's the biggest challenge for you? So you got the portal, but also, how are you going to spread out your wealth, right? Like, how do you handle a cap and then NIL deals on the side?
Yeah, so I think the NIL deals on the side. There's probably about 8 to 10 teams that will still have the ability to do that, right? Like at some point, all your donors are like, well, I'll keep giving you $1 million a year, and you got $20 million coming from the university. Like, what are we doing here? But there's some schools who can do it. But I think in general, the cap, if it's enforced, right, if it's enforced properly, will make people have to make decisions. You'll have a guy who says like, hey, I can be a backup, at Nebraska this year, and I can make, X amount of dollars. But these other schools are offering me a chance to be a starter. I had a young man in my office today, and he had the same thing. He was like, Coach, they're offering me a chance to be a starter. And it was a good school, and I was like leading off their roster. It was like a Mountain West school. And I was like, okay, on this date, you're going to be sitting in a hotel in, Laramie, Wyoming, and Laramie's lovely, and I live out by here, but you'll be in Laramie, Wyoming, getting ready to play University of Wyoming, and we'll be getting ready to play like Maryland, like which place do you want to be? And,
Sure.
I get the kids, they want to hurry up and get going. It's not even always about the money. They want to play, they want to be a starter. And I'm always just preaching, hey, play the long game. Like the best thing you do is be in a place like this and develop. So it's difficult. And for some guys, it might be right to move, but figuring out how you want to spend your money, you can't overpay a backup, you can't overpay a freshman. It'll change the power structure in college football.
Well, also, I guess recruiting, right? Like, what will that do with no walk-ons? What's that going to do to high school players, right? Like, I got 2 kids. One's they're both football players, and you wonder, hey, if they excel, well, what happens, right? Is it now JUCO world? Is it some of the academies, the bridge? Because everybody likes them older now.
Yeah, and so I think when they first started the portal, what we saw guys go from signing about 20 to 25 guys a year, and another signing 12 to 18 freshmen a year. So, and you can still have a walk-on if you choose to have a walk-on. You still can have a kid come in and not pay him a ton of NIL. You can pay him nothing. You can just get a scholarship. But it's going to be, I think it's going to depend on how much money people have. There's places like, you brought up Temple and some of those other ones. They're not going to have $20 million to spend on the athletes. So it might open more doors there. What I would say is, I tell kids all the time, hey, if you find a school that you can go to and they want you to come there and they're going to pay for you to go to school and you like it, you should go. Like, don't miss out on something that's really, really good for you because you're always looking for something else. Just find something that fits you. Stay there and excel. And then after a couple of years, if you only go in the portal because you want to play at a higher level, you can always do that. But 18 of the first 22 picks in the NFL draft were not kids who didn't transfer. They were guys who went somewhere and stayed there. And so there's something about development. So, high school recruiting, I think it'll always be there, but it is definitely less. And I think it will continue to be less than it was.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Now, this weekend, how are their Husker games? Like, what was it like? Does it still wow you? I remember talking to you, and you're like, dude, it's amazing. Like the follow, the fan base. It's such an interesting place. Is it still wow you on a spring day to see that kind of crowd?
Yeah, we had a women's flag game first. So Midland University is a local school, and they play women's flag football. They had a quarterback. She was unbelievable. I walked over the middle of the game, I had to shake her hand. I was like, "You're unbelievable! Like, she should be in the Olympics for us today." And then we had a bunch of Nebraska young ladies, women who were they all play for the intramurals. They put together a dream team, and they played each other. And there were a couple thousand people in the stands at 10:30 in the morning to watch this exhibition game. I mean, our fans are unbelievable. We had a volleyball game that night. It was sold out. So, the crowd this year for football wasn't as big as it has been playing a true game, but still the outpouring of support, the people following it, seeing things like Dylan throw the ball through the hoop, and we still scrimmage too. The guys trying to make the roster, guys trying to improve their stock. They went out there and played, and it was some good football, and I was proud those guys got a chance to play. So being here is awesome because it's all about supporting the team. And when I tell people about our fan base, guys, here's honestly what I say. I said, listen, we are like the NFL team of Nebraska, and all eyes are on us. There's a radio show, talk show, podcast at all hours of the day. The only thing I can explain it, it's like being in Philly and being an Eagle. Like
Right.
it's the same thing, man. It's like the fans. They're passionate. They love us. And they're going to be there no matter what. And that's, when Ty got drafted, I said, bro, you just went from the greatest college fan base to the greatest NFL fan base you're going to be spoiled in case you ever have to go somewhere else, man.
That's awesome. Now you look skinny. You are you eating or what? You look too skinny.
It's the filter. They put a filter on the camera angle. Trust me. Body.
I gotta send you a care package, man.
I'm Memorial Day weekend. I'll be down the shore, so don't worry. I'm gonna eat like 4 times a day. There's no Wawa here. It's the only thing. I love Nebraska. We have great beef. There's no Wawa here. So I get there. I'm like fiend. Like Julie's like, let's go unpack the car. I'm like, no, I gotta go make a stop real quick. It's like 1 o'clock. I'm still getting a coffee. I'm still getting a pork roll. I'm getting a pretzel.
I'll make sure when you land, I'll get you Primos and a bunch of cheesesteaks. I'll bring down for you. We'll do the whole run. We'll do Angelo's. We'll do Skinny Joey's. We got all kinds of stuff for you.
Our wrestling coach here, they came up to Philly and we finished second at Penn State. 2 kids won national championships. And our wrestling coach won National Wrestling Coach of the Year. All he talks about was that I called you. I said, where do I send them? I sent him over to Aroma, Mr. Tony. And like to this day, every time I see him, he hugs me. He's like, I had the best meal, the best time. And I said, hey, that's just what Philly does, bro.
That's it. And we're going to have to do, when you're in town, we're going to have to do Mr. Tony. We got to do a Mr. Tony night. It's Brady's favorite restaurant in the country.
It really?
Yep. Tom loves it. Everybody loves Mr. Tony. So I'm gonna have to make sure I gotta steal you for a couple hours.
That should be too hard.
My brother, I know you have a meeting with Dr. Tom Osborne, the legend.
Oh,
yeah, that's so cool. I mean, listen, you and Tom Osborne, that's fantastic, man. 2 legends.
He's unbelievable. He's sharp as ever. So yeah, I'm honored to have a chance to visit with him.
That's awesome. All right, listen, I'll let you prepare. My brother, we love you. Thanks for everything. And we're pumped up for Ty.
Go Birds.
There he is. Go Birds. I love it. That Rhule.
Dude,
he rules.
The black Nebraska gear is nice.
Right?
You got to get some of that.
Are you kidding?
Extra large.
We got to go to the South Philly Tap Room. I meant to bring up, because John Longacre is a huge, nobody's bigger Temple man. Nobody's a bigger Matt Rhule guy than John. And we got to go see John. John will be, in fact, we're going to do a welcome to Philadelphia with Ty.
Yeah.
At the South Philly Tap Room.
All right. I love that spot.
All right.
They got great food.
Oh, great food. John, that's a great spot.
Yeah.
John was at the forefront of that whole revolution of all those bars.
And that's a whole area.
Yeah. That. First of all, that area, but also that type of menu, and food's fantastic. Like really gastropubs.
Yeah.
Like he was at the beginning of that.
Yep.
Great stuff. Really, really fun stuff. All right. Now joining us, the Brain.
Brain. Red, the Brain Finder.
Good morning, Brain.
Good morning. I got to tell you guys a quick story. Maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to. The whole you saw the whole Shedeur Sanders thing, right?
Of course.
With that, when I was even more immature than I am now, believe it or not, man, when I was in high school, I used to do that same kind of thing to people. I did to Scottie Pippen. I told him he got traded. Hand on the Bible, on my kids. He fell for it. When I say hook, line, and sink, the guy was in tears, crying on the phone. I said I was Jerry Krause. The limo was me picking him up.
How'd you get his number?
I did some. What's that?
How'd you get his number?
Back when I was in high school, there was a guy I was friends with who used to be an intern. Do you guys remember back when 1210 WCAU had radio, sports radio? Back in the, this guy was an intern there, and he got me a list of where everyone, all the players stayed at the hotels when I was in high school. I was like a sophomore in high school. I was maybe 15 years old. And I would call up these athletes and do certain things like that to just play around with them. And I got Scottie Pippen. It was my all-time best masterpiece. When I say I got him, I'm talking I guarantee you couldn't have gotten someone more than I got him. And I told him he was. It's funny. I go, yeah, I think this was before they started winning their titles. And I was like, MJ's not happy. We haven't gotten it done. This was I guess it had to be like 88 or something like that.
What?
And yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at that Shedeur Sanders thing. I'm like, God, this was child's play. I got this guy. He was coming down. He's like, is there anything I can do? Let's make this work. And I'm like, listen, Scotty, it happens. You know, he just
What?
It happened.
You
Yeah, it
did
was a good
that
one.
to Scottie Pippen? Oh,
Scottie Pippen,
Bray.
100% got him.
Oh man, I didn't
Got
know Bray
him,
was
man. I
like a
did so
jerky
many of
boy with
these
the prank
things.
calls.
Oh, that's
I was a
horrible.
total jerky, but yeah, I used to love that. I used to listen to those tapes, VG, like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah,
Some of my favorite
I
stuff.
like a good old, good natured prank call. Yeah.
Oh man, I had so many of them, man. I'll have to tell you some stuff off the air, but I used to do some stuff, man.
Hey, hold on. though.
Wait. Well, I gotta hear. Who else did you prank?
Oh, there was I some of the stuff I probably shouldn't say, but I mean there was some stuff I
Well, you already
mean,
told on yourself. So
no, I know,
Well, you
but
can't
I mean I
stop
used
here.
to. No, listen. I will tell you a guy that was actually like this wasn't a prank, but I was like the nicest guy, and I just spoke. I remember on there, I think I told you, I spoke baseball with the guy for like, and I was like a 15-year-old kid. Tony Gwynn used to call, and I didn't know who I was, and we would just speak baseball for like 7 hours. No joke, like when I say 7 hours, I don't mean like 2 hours. I mean 7 hours from like 5 p.m. to 1 in the morning. He would come to town, and he would just.
You started calling Tony Gwynn?
Yeah, I would call these different. Yeah, and we used to remember Lee Thomas, the Phillies general manager.
Yes.
Yeah.
Him and my brother. I swear, I shouldn't even say this stuff. I think he literally spoke to us like it was. Who was the kid? Remember the kid? What was the article on that they were talking about the Jets? The kids were running the team. Lee Thomas was like running stuff by us on trades to make. And like I shouldn't take this. I shouldn't say
Get out of here.
whatever. But
Yeah,
I'm not lying.
Lee Thomas is not with us anymore. So
no, I know. That's the only reason I'm saying it. I wouldn't want to like.
What do you mean
be
he would
rude.
run things by you? Like
Exactly what I said.
Lee Thomas would ask
Yes,
you and
Lee
your
Thomas.
brother what you thought.
Yes. What we thought, yeah, like you should,
About
yeah,
what?
we would
Like
give
what? Like what? Give me an example.
trades and stuff. Do
you remember?
And you know what I will do? I will call my brother because he actually has. He was on a record.
Did you have a recorded? Did you record any of
he
this?
like recorded. I didn't even know how. I still don't even know how. But he
You
used to
gotta get
record
that.
some of his
I
calls.
gotta
and-
hear this. We'll
Send
play
that
it
to
on
me.
the air.
But the Lee Thomas though, legitimately, he would like ask us stuff, like go over like trades. We'd go over like it's funny. I mean, like, who was the guy from the Pentagon? The guy, what's I can't think of the guy's name. He's like, oh, you gave out sensitive information. I'm like, we had sensitive information for the Phillies back in the day. I mean, we were 15 and 14 years old.
This is what, the 80s, 90s? And like,
Yeah, 80s.
Like, do you
80s.
remember?
No wonder they stunk during those
Did you
times.
remember any of
Exactly. It was
Yeah.
because I was running the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm gonna call my brother. I'm gonna get it because I have like a general memory of it, and there was but there's because we used to do it literally like all the time, and we used to call. Well, there's other people we call, but I don't want to say they're still around. I don't want to get, but that wasn't the only sport. I'll leave it like that. But there was that we those were the days. But when that Shedeur Sanders thing happened, it brought me back to remembering. The stuff that when I was that age, well, I was probably 5 years younger, but then that 20-year-old kid or whatever old he is, we used to do similar stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's horrible. I mean, I'll be honest with you.
No,
and it's the Falcons' defensive coordinator's son.
Yeah,
Like I can only imagine as a dad of two boys what I would do to my kid. I mean, I would lose. You'd lose it.
Yeah.
By the way, it's despicable.
When you're that age, Anthony, you make immature decisions all the time, though. I mean, you got to when you're
okay.
All right, hold on, Brain. You were a teenager calling a millionaire, telling him he got traded. I mean, but calling a college kid who's waiting to get drafted he's going.
No, I wouldn't do that.
That's a whole different thing. You're an
despicable.
adult. You're over 18, and you're knocking a kid when he's down. That's different than calling a millionaire and telling him he's traded.
No, I agree. No. Well, You could. I look again. I listen again. I felt
Pippen
bad for Shedeur.
Well, I mean, Scottie
Yeah,
Pippen.
Scottie Pippen. Yeah, Scottie. I mean, here I'm like, again, when you're that age, a lot of times you do dumb things that you don't realize at the time are as insensitive as they are, and that is what I would say to that.
I will say this,
yeah,
Brain. Because you and I are in a battle. I will say I am morally a little better because I would get access to rock stars' phone numbers because my dad drove a limo part time, and I never prank called. I called like Motley Crue to try and talk to them, and they were like, "How the bleep you get this? You know what room we're in?" Blah, blah, blah. I just tried to talk to them, but I never prank called anyone.
Wow, you could have been with the kid from Almost.
I want to give you one
Rolling
quick
Stone.
story. I want to give you one quick thing, and then I'll never, because the reason I'm telling you this story is because the value of these things, I saw them sold for millions of dollars. This one I was either 16, 17 area, 15 in that range. I could actually look up the year when Michael Jordan, we called Michael Jordan to get his sneakers. I used to be able to sneak in the locker room back in the day. I used to go in the locker room, go on the court. I had all these big tricks to do stuff. Okay.
Yeah,
so I'll be able to.
No, that checks out. We did that.
Yeah. So Michael Jordan, I called him up and I'm like, is there any way we can get your shoes after the game? He's like, sure, kid. It was like the Joe Green commercial with the Pepsi, the Coca-Cola. So what happened was we go in after the game. He broke the Spectrum record for like 53 points in a game. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. He's like, I have to give him to the Spectrum. They're taking him from me. He goes, because he broke the Spectrum record. Next time he comes in, I do the same thing. It's like, I remember you. He's like, yeah, I'll give you the games. He scored I think it was his 10,000th career point, or maybe his 15th or 20,000, or anything in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Okay, that happened. Then the third time, did the same thing. He broke the Chicago Bulls all-time scoring record. He's like, dude, I don't know what to tell you, kid. And then I see these shoes selling for like $3 million for like 1986 Michael Jordan season. I'm like, oh my God, like I actually should have had that. I should have had that. I got like James Worthy gave me his stuff. Karl Malone. I used to get all the man.
Are you
We used
serious?
to do all this stuff,
Well,
man.
wait a second.
I was a dope writing letters. I should have been calling them.
I know. I used to write letters too. You would just
we used to
call them
speak
and
to
ask
these
them
guys
for
all
stuff.
the time.
You got a lot of stones.
Yeah,
God
we used to
bless
get all
you.
this. I got all this memorabilia back. Yeah, we used to call these athletes, and man, I would back when I was in high school. Instead of chasing girls, I was chasing the athletes.
No, dude. I mean, I get it.
Yeah. I can hear him right now.
Yeah.
MJ, can I ask you a question? Can I get the sneakers?
No, dude, we used to do. I'm telling you, man. I had a pretty
Can I ask you a
decent,
question?
like rapport with them, and yeah, something like that. Something like that.
Ray, hold on. And also, what's going on today? You get a new camera or something? You look 10 years younger. You're all bright and clear.
Nah,
You
first
got a
off-
blurred background. What's happening today?
Yeah, it's funny. I noticed the blurred background. I don't know how that happened. It helps my face look better, but it's blurred. But I don't know. I don't know. You know what's
You look good today.
what's what. But anyway,
Man, that's hysterical. That's hysterical. Hysterical.
the Scottie Pippen one though could never. I wish if I had that
Oh,
on.
man, we could never top it. We never got another guy to cry.
Jerry
No, I mean
Krause.
serious. That was. I'm a humble. You know, I'm a very self-deprecating, joking guy. I don't know if there would have been a much better prank in life put on anyone than that, because that one like got him hook, line, and sink. He definitely fell for it, and we pulled. I mean, I was pretty good at being Jerry Krause.
What a different time.
Did you totally
Totally different time.
Did you talk like this?
Totally different
Jerry used to talk like this.
time. Yeah,
I
that's
hate this
again.
Jerry Krause. He was a
Everyone
creep.
hated him.
What a creep.
The worst.
Oh,
Yeah,
creep.
the worst.
No, I covered him in the.
But you worked with. You had to talk to the guy. Actually.
Yeah, he was horrible.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
And I was a young reporter. He showed me no, he was horrible. I couldn't stand him.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. It's actually exactly how it's.
Yeah, I remember talking to him, like and looking at him.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir.
What'd you think of Matt? Did you watch Matt Rhule?
I caught the tail end of it. Again, I root very, very hard for him. I'm hoping that this is a great year for him. I gotta tell you, man, like being a college coach, guys, in this day and age, man, I think it's the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It is.
What you have to do to manage the NIL deal and everything like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I would need like 25 assistants to help. I think
it's nuts.
I'm not.
Yeah, it's wild.
I mean, that's why these teams have these general managers and stuff like that now. I think it's such a hard gig to try to do what he has to do. Oh my God, man, it's hard. I mean, it is really, really hard. It's like everyone's a free agent every year.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I
mean,
know.
I don't know how you do it.
I know.
But
It's crazy.
Yeah, but look, it seems like that guy's he's a winner. I'm sure he'll do well. And I have no doubt that they're going to be solid, and he'll be leading them to a lot of good things.
Hey, so let's talk about this the weekend. What did you think of the draft? Did it impact any of your future markets?
Well, if you really look at it, guys, look, what really happened though. I mean, look, we knew Cam Ward was going to go number one, and the Shedeur Sanders thing was drama for TV, but that really didn't affect anything in terms of real NFL football. I'm trying to think what things were really affected. I don't know if anything was truly affects anything in terms of how I think teams are going to be. I would say probably not really, Anthony. I don't think there was you didn't see one crazy big trade where maybe a team traded for Trey Hendrickson of the Cincinnati Bengals in a draft day trade, right? It was like, all right, we'll give up a draft pick to get a guy who's led the league in sacks the last 4 years. We didn't see anything like that. I would actually usually the Eagles are the exception, right? Last year, what they did, their rookies were a massive part on why they won the Super Bowl. Is that the first time that's happened? Literally, is that the first time where you could say a team's draft class was arguably one of the main, obviously Saquon Barkley, but their draft class I thought was probably the most impactful of any Super Bowl winning team that I can recall.
Because I mean you saw it affect their secondary.
It's rare,
I mean, right off the bat. I mean, they weren't the same defense when Cooper DeJean started to play, and Quinyon was a shutdown corner.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I'd have to really study to see if I've ever seen a team that I can recall that won a Super Bowl where I'd say that the draft was a massive reason why that happened. So it's usually not, to me, as important. Again, what the Eagles did last year was very special to me. But look, from an Eagles point of view, again, the Eagles they always seem to understand value and do well. I'm assuming this will be no different with Howie. He obviously knows what he's doing at the highest level. So I mean, and look, I will say this from a betting point of view, I look at, okay, who's going to win Rookie of the Years kind of thing. I'm a big Ashton Genty fan. I think going to the Raiders is a good situation for him. And I think he's sitting around plus 340 area to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't love Cam Ward to win it. I think it'll be tough for him to win it going to a bad Titans team. So maybe I'll look to make a bet on Ashton Genty from a betting point of view. I think he'll have a lot of success for the Raiders for sure.
Yeah, totally. I love Genty. I love Genty in a big way.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a stud.
All right. How was your weekend? Did you do well?
Well, for the show, we went 2-2. 1-2, lost 2. Could have been better. Yesterday was, again, you saw look with JJ Redick with the huge gamble, right? Playing his entire. I always wondered what would happen. When you're playing a computer game and you don't rest the guys. Do you guys ever play John Matt or whatever,
right.
NBA 2K?
Yeah.
And you see it. Okay, the guy's getting his tiredness is going up or whatever. And I'm always like, all right, well, what happened if you just play these guys the entire way and they just faltered down the stretch? He played everyone 24 minutes.
Well, you know what? It always works in the show, MLB The Show, when your pitcher. Yeah. Your starting pitcher starts to. He's throwing 128 pitches. I'm going to leave him in for one more inning.
Yeah, exactly. Well, back in the day in baseball, people would actually Nolan Ryan throw 150 pitches or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I root for JJ Redick. Actually, he's a guy. The one Duke player I actually like is JJ. I actually won me over here, and I was rooting for them. But I knew you like Ant. He played incredible down the stretch. And did you see the end of that game, guys? That Hawkeye vision to show that LeBron fouled?
Yeah.
Because I watched that live. I'm like, okay, that's no way that's a foul. No way is that. If I would have testified under oath, I'm like, I know I'm right on this one. And then they showed that one vision where his hand was right on him. And look, credit to Minnesota for coming back. Some good games last night. I was rooting for my LA Kings. Had a 2-goal lead late. Blew it.
Dude,
I watched it.
Were you watching that
It's
game? I
exciting.
should have texted you. I was dying.
Yeah, I watched it.
I figured
that's the best series.
I love that series. I wanted
amazing.
to talk to somebody about that game so bad. I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. But they were
It was
playing
unbelievable.
prevent. They went back like the Kings just play prevent defense instead of attacking.
It's
They're
hard to
so
win
much
that
better
way.
when they attack. Fiala,
Yeah.
the whole Kempe,
Aren't they?
Kopitar.
They play more of a defensive style, though. That's their deal.
No, but they attacked.
Yeah,
All
but
they did.
I agree, Anthony. I agree. They
all
played literally. It was like they
wait,
played not to
and in
lose.
Edmonton just controlled the puck. It was a matter of time.
Yeah. Through 2 periods, Anthony, if you watched that game, you would have said, "Oh, the Kings are they're just clearly better here. They're going to win this game." And then the third period came. It was like the Buddy Ryan's best line of a lot of good lines he's had. What's the prevent defense do to prevent you from winning? I actually felt, Anthony, the exact same way. They went into a shell of all shells where it was like they were just trying to get out of Dodge, but they got too far, in my opinion. It's hard to just, I don't know. I'm not a hockey expert per se, but watching it, I had the same kind of take that it was just a matter of when Edmonton tied it up. And they did with 30 seconds left.
You pull the goalie, and they had a chance. They had a couple chances to clear. They couldn't get the puck out of the zone. And then, you're going to give Draisaitl and McDavid and Bouchard, like they're just going to come at you. And then you knew once it went to overtime, they weren't losing.
Yeah, once it went to OT, it was just like, all right, now what are we going to do now?
I mean, Kemper was out of his mind.
He really was. He really was. Again, it was a
great hockey.
It was a great. Again, I got to tell you, like, to me, watching that compared to the NBA. Again, the Lakers game was pretty decent, but I really do enjoy watching the hockey. I think it's very, very, very exciting. A lot of good games.
Someone who's watched the Oilers a bunch, if Skinner plays, they're in trouble. He stinks. So
it's funny.
Not that
he's better than Skinner. Comes up soft in the playoffs. The last 2 years, he's not good.
I went to Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, VG, and there was this guy, the row behind me, the entire 3 periods. Victoria will make Joe. She goes, Skinner. This guy just kept going, Skinner sucks. Skinner
Yeah, he's
sucks.
not
He
good.
did it for 3 straight hours. I'm like, the guy deserves. I've never seen anyone do it for 3 hours. He wouldn't stop. But anyway, that's when you said.
That's great. All right, boys.
Anyway.
What are we doing tonight? Where do we stand?
I was 3-0 on my Friday picks.
Whoa!
Oh,
Trash man's clawing back. I'm 14-17. I'm almost above water.
All
Well,
right.
you're better than me right now. I'm 23-29, so I gotta right this ship. I got 3 things for tonight.
I think.
You do? No, you do. No, you're better. No, 14. Yeah, no, that's 9 and 12. No, you'd be a little bit better. But again, we will play it out. We will see how it ends up. Do you want to go first, my friend?
Sure. I'm going to go Cleveland Guardians and the Twins. I like Gavin Williams. His ERA is a little bloated, but he's got good stuff. I'm going to go with them.
Okay.
A brain pick, first 5. Guardians, first 5, -129.
Okay. I like Gavin Williams also. He's actually been a guy I definitely have backed. I'm going to go with I'll start with Donovan Mitchell. We're going to go under 5.5 rebounds. He's 52 and 22 to that under. Should be 4.5. They're giving me 1 extra. That's the edge. Donovan Mitchell. Cleveland Cavaliers under 5.5 boards.
I'm going to that the Stars game. I'm going to go to that. I like the over 6 goals. It's up to 6.5 on some books. That part's got it at 6, so I'm over in the Dallas game.
All right. I am going to go stick in that same heat game. I'm going to go Bam Adebayo. I've bet this twice or 3 times. I'm 2-1 in the series, but I'm going to go over 3.5 assists again. Didn't get there last game, but he averages 4.5. I think Bam playing 40 minutes. We'll get the 4 assists tonight.
I like the Astros today against your Flaherty guy. The number's pretty thin, so I'm going to take the Astros versus the Tigers tonight.
Astros a dog.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I will give you
Astros slight dog.
Amen Thompson, Houston Rockets. We're going to go over 11.5 points. I trust him to get his minutes. He's averaging around 14.5. He's not been great this series, but I do trust his minutes. And I do think this should be closer to 13. So I'm going to go over 11.5. Amen Thompson.
Amen Thompson. Anything else you like?
I'm going to our
That's it, brother.
homeland. I'm going to Serie A today.
Oh, yeah?
In the name of chicken parmesan, I'm going Lazio and Parma over 2.5 goals.
Wait, Anthony, was VG right? Like he said that I had the chicken parm. And he said, "Man, don't tell Anthony that.
No, you were
smack you in the
out.
face."
He was telling us all about this chicken parm he had while you were sick.
No, I wasn't bragging about it. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't.
A chicken parm is not Italian.
What is it?
It's American.
Okay. Right.
Just Parma's going to put up 3 goals themselves today just because of that. Over 2.5. Lock it.
But let me ask you a question, Anthony. Does that mean you don't like it, or does that mean you're just not a traditional Italian meal?
He won't even put it on his tongue, Brad.
Really? Okay. Look, I respect Anthony, and so I see the look of just horror on his face.
In him, who's he's a blight on the culture.
We're cousins.
He's
a blight.
I mean,
I
did not know that. No, is that like a known thing among Italians that you never order chicken
among
parm?
Anthony.
No, in Italy they don't eat chicken in Italy.
Really?
I
was actually, no, it's funny. I was actually, now I think about it, I was there for like 3 months.
They don't eat chicken in Italy.
You probably had a nice chicken parm in Roma looking at the Coliseum.
No. Yeah, but made by somebody from Morocco.
You know what? Actually, let me tell you something. I'll let you go on this note. I know Zach's waiting. I'll tell you on this note. When I was 20 years old, 19 years, whatever I was abroad a semester. He's actually right. There was not chicken. He's right. So you know what I would do? I would go to the Chinese restaurant and get my chicken and whatever, chicken and broccoli.
You eat Chinese in Italy?
I shouldn't have said that because now I know I'm gonna get ripped for that.
What?
But again, I was 19 years old, so like that's my defense. I was 19. I didn't know any better. I still don't know any better. But I was.
What's
19.
wrong with that? You're feeling a little Chinese one night. You want to,
in Italy?
Chinese? Maybe you've had enough Italian food.
I was there. No, by the way, I was there for 3 months. It wasn't. If I was there for
all right. Well, that makes sense. Oh yeah, I get it. In 3 months, you want something different. I get it.
Have you ever had Chinese food in Italy?
No, but I've never been there for 3 months. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Fairness.
It's a little.
I mean,
Yeah.
Would I? Probably not. But but that's
to get
just
chicken with
it's
pineapple.
different though. People, you want varied taste. I get it.
Yeah.
So is Chinese food in Italy similar to American? You get like General Tso's chicken.
Well, no. By the way, wait. Do you guys know? Because I went. The Chinese food in China or Hong Kong or whatever, or in Asia is literally like, when I say different, I'm talking like a different world.
It's like every other culture.
Went there.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't eat Italian American. That's why you get chicken Parmesan.
You're not getting sesame chicken.
Right.
In Italy? Maybe.
No, but you're talking about Chinese
Not in
American.
Beijing, I'm not
He's talking about going to China.
Yeah, Beijing. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
get
when
it.
you went there, man, they were
chicken.
giving like real and I was like, oh man, I was like, I like the fake Chinese food better.
All right, brother. It was an interesting one, from making Scottie Pippen cry
exactly
to Chinese food in
Chinese food in
Lazio.
Italy. There you go.
I like it.
Have
All
a good,
right,
guys.
good stuff, Brain. Thanks, buddy.
Bye-bye.
There he is, the Brain. Time now to tell you about a couple of our friends, shall we?
Yeah, how about our friends over at Ace?
Ace is the place.
Ace Hardware Home Services. You know, these people helping you out when you're like me, with no talent around the house, no skills to fix things. So if you've got a leaky pipe, well, Ace Hardware Home Services, they're around the block with everything you need to fix it, including the right people to do the fixing. Got an air conditioning issue? Get it done now before it gets hot. And they got people for that. Faucet, you said you fixed the asphalt. They got a person for that too, because now they're not just the helpful hardware folks. They're also the helpful home service and repair folks. From plumbing to heating and cooling, they got trusted pros to keep your house humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services. They're bringing the helpful home, the helpful you love from the store right now to your front door. Easy peasy. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.aceHardwareHomeservices.com and get started on your next home project.
All right, let's talk about Bet Parks. Bet Parks Monday. You heard the boys' picks. You're going to get Lazio Parma over 2.
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
All right.
A little juice, minus 141. But
all right. I like it. I may do a little afternoon Serie A. Pretty good.
Bologna's on at 12:30.
All right. Well, you can live bet any of that stuff. The Brains picks, VG's picks. You can live bet baseball, golf, basketball, hockey playoffs. We got a couple playoff games tonight. I do like I like the Lance tonight.
You like the Lance tonight?
Yeah, I'm a Lanceman.
Yeah, I know you're a Lanceman.
I like the Lance a lot. I
Well,
love Cale McCarr.
I think they got more talent, but Dallas is a nice little squad. Nice
Well, they
little
got
team.
Rantanen,
Yeah.
the ex-Lance.
Oh, Lance is heavy favorite tonight, -142.
All right. Well, you can check it all out in the BetParks app. The BetParks online sportsbook casino app has you covered. So whether it's Fightins, who will be back tomorrow, off tonight, they got Washington tomorrow at home, or you name it. You got your favorite casino games like live dealer poker, blackjack, roulette, craps. I mean, it's right there. All your favorite hot online slots. What are slots you playing right now?
I'm still rocking Armadillo.
All right.
Yeah. And Cleopatra, I went to a little this weekend, hung out with her. She was good. She treated me well this weekend.
Oh, good. All right. You got Cash Eruption.
Yeah.
All right. You got all that stuff. Play all your stuff, like your Squid Games, Breaking Bad, Peaky Blinders, all your favorite classic casino games from wherever you are. New users get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. BetParks.com has all the details. You got to be in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. This portion of the show presented by Rite Aid. RiteAid.com/PHLY for the store and pharmacy nearest you. Now, the man who did what an amazing job this weekend, because we're going to hear from Z Berm and we're going to hear from Fran, all right? Along with Bo, these guys crushed it this weekend, absolutely crushed it. And Z Berm, inside, nobody's like the inside man like Z Berm. Mm-hmm. He gets all the stuff. The greatest thing that you do, Zach Berman, is that you're an amazing reporter, but you also translate. You don't just report, you can also translate into what happened. Like, for instance, this draft. Like, I agree with you wholeheartedly. You made the point about day 2 kind of getting away from the Eagles, where the board didn't go their way. They weren't able to trade. They tried. They weren't able to make many trades. And, you know, you were like, well, that was the one area. And I know for a fact they feel the same way.
Yeah, I thought overall it was a strong draft for the Eagles, and I thought they recovered, or I shouldn't say recovered. I thought they did well on day 3, and I liked Howie's approach of gambling on trades day 3, going with upside. I did think day 2 left more to be desired, and as you said, I think they would probably say the same thing. They came away with one player, Drew Mukuba, who's a good safety. I thought maybe a bit overdrafted, but the reality is you'd rather a pick too early, a round too early than a pick too late if it's someone you like. If they knew how the board was going to fall, I wonder if they would have gone a tight end like Harold Fannin in the 2nd round and then seen what safety, Xavier Watts, for instance, was on the board at their pick in the 3rd round. Maybe that would have been Mukuba. Who knows? But my point is, you don't know in real time how the board's going to fall. I think to the point you said about them wanting to trade, and they did, the Eagles experienced the challenge, if you will, the downside, if there is one, of winning the Super Bowl, which is it's hard to go from the bottom of every round to the middle or the top. And if you think back to 2018, the Eagles did not own their original 2nd round pick that year or their original 3rd round pick that year. So they didn't have to experience what they were doing the other night, which was if you're drafting at 64 and there's a guy you like at, let's say 40, the pick they took Cooper DeJean at last year, it's hard to get up. It's hard to get up 24 spots in the 2nd round of the draft. You're going to have to sacrifice significant resources. And from my understanding, the Eagles were willing to give up a lot, but other teams weren't interested in next year's picks as much as maybe the Eagles would be if the Eagles were in that spot. So that being said, I think that if there's a blemish on this draft, I don't think they capitalized enough on day 2, because you typically look at day 2 as a chance to get, solid starters for your teams, or guys you're hoping to project as solid starters. And they came away with one player on day 2.
Yeah, and to your point, not the tight end. And I know, I believe that Fannin was their choice at tight end. And obviously Scott Loeffler who was the coach of Bowling Green, where Fannin was, is the Eagles quarterback coach. Like, I get it. I just think I look at it, and it's a shame because now you look at how you're going to fix that position. Because I don't know. Listen to Howie. It still doesn't sound like Goddard's going to be here.
Yeah, it's a challenging spot because I mean I feel confident saying that the Eagles are not planning to pay Dallas Goedert $14.25 million to be on their team this year, right? But I think the best football situation for Dallas Goedert is to play for the Eagles. Now, I don't know what he's going to get elsewhere, and I think that's really what the question is. I don't know what a compromise would be with the Eagles financially and how that compares to what he would get if another team acquired him or if the Eagles were to cut him and he signed somewhere else. That's really the big question. I do think that Goddard at this juncture won't find an offense or a passing game that would fit him better than the role he has here with the Eagles. But this is about money, and I should emphasize to your viewers and your listeners, this isn't about the cap. This is all about the cash. The Eagles have managed that cap situation. This is about a player who doesn't have guaranteed money on his deal, who's due $14.25 million in cash, and the Eagles just aren't valuing that position this year at $14.25 million.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's talk about, well, real quick, since we're on it, is there anything that you see out there? I mean, we're going to have to look to try to make a trade. I mean, to try to get a stopgap. That's kind of where it's at. I don't know about the Raiders. I don't know what's going on there.
Exactly. I still think, as we discussed this offseason, Michael Mayer would be the best trade candidate for the Eagles at this point. I still think that if they can find some type of resolution with Goddard, that's the best strategy. It's just, it's easy for me to spend someone else's money, and it's easy for me to say to Goddard, you should play for X. Ultimately, like there's a bridge there that might be too far for them to meet in the middle, but we'll see there. But as far as what's out there, otherwise, there's not a free agent that would jump out. Mark Andrews might be traded from the Ravens, but then you're in the same situation you are obviously with Goddard. I would just rather keep Goddard than go after Mark Andrews. So Michael Mayer's the guy who I keep pointing to. He's the second tight end in Vegas. Wasn't drafted he was drafted 2 GMs ago at this point in Vegas. That team kind of has different construction this year. We'll see, but that's still the player I would look at.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about let's get back to the draft itself. So, now that you're digested every pick, let's go through them. Jihaad Campbell, we talked Friday.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not really overly concerned with the labrum and the surgery. I know that's what helped him fall a little bit. I mean, I think he's got great value there.
Yeah, you got a guy who was top 10 on your board at 31 overall, who he'll have a day one starting job, and he has the upside to be more in the NFL than he was in college when you look at what he can do from a pass rush, or what they think he can do from a pass rushing perspective.
Yeah.
So if you tell me that part of his game is going to grow, I think it's a home run pick.
Ty Robinson. And I love Ty. We just had Matt Rhule on to talk about Ty. And, he was so excited. He's like, dude, can I come on the show? I'll come on the show now. When you need me. Yeah. I don't want to do anything. I want to talk about this kid. Yeah.
And, I heard him before. And he's someone who's going to step into your D-line rotation. From an upside perspective, you don't love, like the fact that he's 24 years old and was a 6-year college player. But when you're talking about in the 4th round, that's fine for me. In the 4th round, someone who can come in, be a rotational player from day one. That it's a spot that I thought the Eagles needed to address. They lost Milton Williams' snaps this offseason. I'm expecting Ojimo to take on a bigger role, obviously, but I think Ty Robinson's someone who's going to play for you. Really good athletic traits, good production, standout production. at Nebraska. 7, he led Nebraska in sacks last year. So I'm good with that pick.
All right, McWilliams. And this one was a little
Yeah. Yes, when Fran's on, Fran can discuss McWilliams more, because honestly, I didn't do much work on McWilliams before the draft. I wasn't at the Senior Bowl this year.
Yeah.
I knew him from a profile perspective, but really didn't watch him coming into the draft. From what we were talking about on the show the other night, think of Avonte Maddox, and he had good speed. He had he can play the slot for the Eagles, can contribute on special teams. Shorter arms, so you're probably looking at him as an inside player, but the Eagles do need depth on the inside.
And then you go back to Georgia. Isn't it always good to go back to Georgia?
Yeah, Smile Mondon. Smile Mondon's someone who I kind of circled as a possibility going into the draft. When they took Campbell in the first round, I didn't know if they're going to go back to linebacker, but I mean, think about what Oren Burks was for the Eagles last year, and I think Smile Mondon gives you that on a rookie contract. Smile Mondon's someone who can be a special team standout for you, weak side linebacker depth, runs really well. Kirby Smart identified him as one of their top athletes on the defense at Georgia. And if you start 3 years at Georgia, that stands out, right? They can put. Not just they can put anyone in the country in their defense, and they recruit over you, and they can portal over you too, right? So the fact that he keeps that job, he's a key part of that defense. I like that pick in that round.
Drew Kendall.
Yeah, Drew Kendall, 3-year starter at Boston College, first team All ACC last year. Has obviously has the bloodlines. I mean, you remember his dad well, Pete, 13-year pro. But what stands out here is, so think about the NFC Championship game last year, okay? Cam Jurgens' back is killing him. He's only playing in an emergency situation. What did the Eagles do? They moved their Pro Bowl guard over to center. I don't know if that's the ideal situation.
Right.
The Eagles really didn't have a backup center. They drafted Dylan McMahon last year, didn't keep him. But Drew Kendall's a different type of player. He's bigger, first off, 6'4", so you're looking at a different type of frame. They say they think he has center guard versatility, but he's a natural center, which I think is important.
That's what I liked about it, is that to me, he's a center. Like, exactly. I know they said that he could go and play guard, but you know what? I need a center. I do need a backup center.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he's going to give you. Good athletic testing, and I don't want to say like a pro is pro for someone who's never played pro football yet, but he's someone who started just about every game at Boston College that he played, was really productive there. I think that's a good value pick at that point in the draft.
And then they take my boy, right? And again, it's to me, it's an easy flyer, right? Like, the quarterback factory, you take Kyle McCord, you develop him. He doesn't have to worry about, being anything other than the third string quarterback for a couple years. And then you see what happens. And, I saw Andy Reid flip A.J. Philly. I saw him do that stuff. I mean, that to me is wise.
Yeah, and it's something that during Andy's time, obviously they were taking day 3 quarterbacks a lot, and for the reason you said. And McCord, there's a lot to like there. There's development ahead of him too. But I guess one of the best things I can say about him is this: I was talking to a former Eagle last night for a while who was kind of talking about Jalen Hurts, and said like Jalen just wins everywhere he's been. He wins, right? And he said like you can't dismiss that when you talk about Jalen. Kyle McCord started 26 games in college, I believe. Went 22-4, right? Won 22 of 26 games, and you can say, all right, he played with great players at Ohio State. I watched, I went to Syracuse. I watched Syracuse before he got there. I watched Syracuse after he got there. He changed that program. Kyle McCord changed that program. Like, that was a 10-win team with Kyle McCord at quarterback. All right, so you look at him in high school. What did he do at high school? All he did was win. And it's
not like he had great receivers at Syracuse. Like, he had a tight end who was good, right? But
Yeah, he had Gatson, Pena, but he didn't. Yeah, he didn't have Marvin Harrison Jr. then. So if you said he was a product of Marvin Harrison Jr., you can't say that. So this is a quarterback who, like, I know people say wins and losses, they're not quarterback stats. I'll have that conversation, but everywhere he's been, his team wins. And he transfers to Syracuse. He changed that program, led the country in passing, and I think there's something to be said about that.
I agree, dude. I'm with you. Obviously, I love the kid. I think he's a winner, and like you, I watch them, weekly. I saw what he did. He had one bad game which hurt him, and that was the Pitt game.
Pittsburgh. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, agree. And there, he was thrown. Yeah. But if you watched the Miami game, and I'm not taking anything away from Cam Ward.
I saw it.
Yeah, but if you watch that Miami game and you said which one of these guys is going to be the number one pick in the draft, I'm not saying McCord outplayed him there, but McCord looked like he belonged on the field that day for sure.
All right, let's go now. The rest of the draft, to me, is all about upside, and that's why I love that stuff. You take a shot, right? You have an incredible resource in Stoutland, right? Like, you got your position coaches are so good. Hey, you never know. You might develop guys, right? Like, you got development guys, you got guys coming off injuries. I mean, that's what you're looking for in those rounds.
Exactly. And I never covered Parcells, but I covered Al Groh, who used to talk about the same thing as Parcells, which was there's only so many people on this earth who are this big and can move like that. And when you talk about Miles Hinton, you talk about Cameron Williams, you talk about Cam Williams, you're talking about those types of players. Like, Cam Williams in particular, 21 years old, 1-year starter at Texas, inconsistent. He had, I think, 16 penalties or 18 penalties. But there are times when you watch him and you're like, this guy's a legit right tackle. I'm curious to see if they move him inside the guard. He struggled with some weight issues earlier in his career at Texas, but I thought Fran put it well. If Cam Williams came back next year, he'd be on these like early mock drafts as a first-round pick. So you're getting him a year early. You'll try to develop him. And then Miles Hinton,
By the way, he looks like a guard to me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's a similar Mekhi Becton, Brandon Brooks type thing where you have a big, mauling, physical guard, long arms, strong. I would move Cam Williams inside. And then Miles Hinton has experience left tackle, right tackle at Stanford and Michigan. Son of a longtime NFL player, like 7-time Pro Bowl. A little before my time. I obviously know the John Elway trade, right? And then I remember him toward the end of his career. I know the name well, and I saw Miles Hinton was a big time recruit for David Shaw at Stanford. When Shaw left, he transferred to Michigan. Was kind of in and out of the lineup last or 2 years ago. Was a good player for them last year. But 6'7", 325 and can move. You'll take that.
Big time. Big time. All right. So you were off to the White House.
Yes. Yeah. Nice. Off to the White House. Yeah.
That's going to be fun. What time you leaving? Then what kind of access will you get?
Yeah. Good question. It's I don't want to say cryptic, but it's like, we get an email at 9:00 last night with the itinerary, right? And then, you put in your credentials. You're still waiting for everything to be confirmed. I'm literally, once I get off with you, I'm going to change into, something appropriate for the White House. I'll take a train down there. I'll get down there at 1:30, 2 o'clock. I'll call into Jamie and Bill. They're doing the PHLY Eagles show. I'm going to get a shot with the White House behind me. And then it's on the South Lawn at 4 p.m. The Eagles are down there. I'm curious. I'm going in with curiosity, right? But like, this is, how often do you get a chance to cover a team and go into the White House?
That's
right?
awesome, dude. That's fantastic.
So eager to see kind of what, what it is, whether, I know a lot of people are going. I don't know who's there, who's not going, but this is gonna be an interesting thing.
I'm curious to see what's after yesterday. Saquon might have a spot in the cabinet going forward, hanging out with playing golf with the president.
Yeah, you wonder, like, you always say, all right, who's going to be the guy there presenting the jersey, right? And I suppose it might be Saquon after spending the day there yesterday. But yeah, it's look, if you as you well know, if you cover a team, you are where they are, right? So when the team's in Brazil, I'm in Brazil. If the team's practicing in Baltimore, I'm in Baltimore. If the team's getting honored at the White House, I'm at the White House. That's part of covering a team.
Well, enjoy it. It's a great experience for you.
Appreciate it.
It's going to be fun. So enjoy the whole thing. And great job again, dude.
Yeah, you killed it. I like the white leather coat you had on the weekend.
It wasn't leather. That was the
I know, it just looked like it.
Definitely wasn't. Yeah. I can't pull off leather. It was suede. It was like beige tan. My wife liked it when I went there. But man, I was a little self-conscious about that when the chat thought it was leather. I can't pull off white leather.
What's going on in the house? I mean, you're a pretty fashionable guy. The wife helping you out with your White House gear?
Yeah, she's been working all day today,
right?
so she's out. Yeah, I'm going suit. Suit. Yeah, I'm nothing that will call any attention to it. Definitely not a tan suede jacket for sure.
Got to go with the mustard suit.
Mustard suit?
Got a big flashy suit. Yeah. Hey, great stuff, brother. Thank you. We appreciate
it, guys.
Great
appreciate
work.
It. Talk to you soon.
Z Burn, check it in. We love it. We love it. All right. Let us talk. Look at this. We got Rite Aid back.
Well, you know what time it is.
Allergy.
Yeah.
Allergy. Yes.
Yep. It's allergy season. If you're like me, you can't sleep. You got stuffed nose, itchy throat. So spring's here. Allergies can begin as early as forever. We've learned that. And they're in high peak season. What causes your allergies? Pollen from trees, grasses, weeds, all the primary causes. So when symptoms flare up, you know the feeling. Those histamines go crazy in your body. And you get the runny nose, itchy watery eyes, wheezing, might feel sluggish. That's why antihistamines, medications are the best, man, because they suppress those histamines in your body and are your first line of defense against these pesky allergies. So what can you do to get some relief during this allergy season? Well, you can sign up for Rite Aid Reward emails at riteaid.com/rewards, and they'll give you alerts on your phone. They'll let you know when your allergens are high in your area, like pollen counts and ragweed and all that stuff. They say you can shower frequently to help all that, but who's got time for 4 showers a day? So you can head over to Rite Aid for some more over-the-counter options that are available. Nasal rinses to flush out your nasal passages. And like we said, those antihistamines such as Claritin and Zyrtec. And you can also try those nasal corticosteroids. I know you're a fan of those. They got Flonase, Nasacort. They got all those name brands, and you can also get those items in the Rite Aid brand name. Still not enough relief? Ask a Rite Aid pharmacist if there's a different type of medication, like a decongestant, that might be necessary. And you can always ask your Rite Aid pharmacist for recommendation on ways to get relief during these eternal allergy seasons.
All right. RiteAid.com.
RiteAid.com.
Store pharmacy nearest you.
Yeah,
we told you about the Bet Park Sportsbook online casino app. Let's talk about Parks Casino, the casino itself. Mecca for entertainment. That's right. They have it all. Action, excitement, all the headliners. Thousands of hot online slots, state-of-the-art sportsbook, beautiful poker room, all-weather beer garden, collection of award-winning restaurants. Tickets on sale now for these headliners. Parks Casino, this is how you win. May 16th, Larry the Cable Guy.
Get her done.
May 30th, country artist Ashley McBride.
I never wanted to be that girl. Never wanted to hate myself.
I don't know why it creeps me out.
Yeah, me too.
June 6th, the sounds of Taj Mahal, Keb
Woke up this morning, mama, had them Statesboro blues. Statesboro, Georgia it is.
That's pretty good. June 14th, Clutch.
Bang, 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 bang. Vamonos, vamonos.
July 3rd, Gary Clark Jr.
Here come old flap top, he come grooving up slowly.
Of all this, that was in my head.
I hope he just plays year-round at Parks.
It's in my head. This morning, I was in the shower. I just babbled.
No, I yourself, dude. You start gyrating like that, you slip in the shower, hit your head or something.
It's working.
Oh, my God. Comedian Mark Norman, July 12th, July 18th, KC the Sunshine Band.
Ooh, do a little dance. Make a little love. Get down tonight. Get down tonight. I've been watching him on TikTok. He's fantastic. It'll be a great show. Guy's got a ton of energy, Casey.
September 6th, how about UB40?
Red wine.
All right, comedian Russell Peters, September 27th. Comedian Brian Regan, November 22nd. Don't forget dinner and drinks before the show. Liberty Bell Gastropub and Beer Garden, Parks Grill Steakhouse, Bamboo Noodle House, Chickies and Pete's, ParksCasino.com for all things Parks. You got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. The other part of the triad who did such an amazing job this weekend, breaking it all down. He was a rock star.
Rock star. Wore a suit all weekend, I think, every time I saw him.
It was fantastic, breaking all of it down. Let's welcome our man from all PHLY and all city, because he did all our entire network. He was on our man, Franny Films.
They do not crave food nor drink for nourishment, for they exist solely on the glow of the all-22 monitors. They are the Leatherheads, and he is Franny Films.
What do you say, Films? Did you sleep good today?
BG, what's happening, guys?
What's up? Did you get some sleep yesterday?
I got some decent sleep last night, which was good. But yesterday was a lot of running around, stuff that I haven't done over the last couple of weeks. So just catching up on things around the house. But we can start to slow down a little bit, which is good.
Yeah. Well, it was you slayed it. You did an amazing job. You and Z Berm and Bo, but you guys all did great. Work with each other, and your breakdowns were tremendous. Just great work. Real thought out, elevated. I can't say enough. Just amazing stuff.
Thank you, man. I mean, and I want to give a lot of love to Julia and Chris and Brenna. And then on Saturday, Andrew came in and joined us. Bree came in and joined us. So just so much work collectively behind the scenes as well to make sure we turned all that stuff around. I mean, an insane amount in terms of volume of programming. So shout out to everybody behind the scenes, obviously. And then Zach and Bo, working with them every day has been outstanding.
And Vince Pellegrini too, because Vince does
no question
a ton of stuff behind the scenes. GM here for us, and he does a lot of good work. Vinny does. All right. Totality. We're going to go over Eagles draft, obviously, and then we're going to go over the league and kind of what you thought and what you liked from a league perspective. We'll start with the Eagles totality. Zach and I talked about the day 2 thing, and it was very real. The board did not fall the way they wanted it to fall. They had difficulty trading up. I know they tried to make trades. It was a really difficult time, and I think, that's why there was no tight end. I know that they liked Fannin, and I think, that's kind of one of the board didn't fall their way there.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part about trading up is that it takes 2 to tango, as they say, right? And so if you can't find anybody that is willing to play ball with you and get you either receive fair value or just say we don't want to move out of this spot. And that was one of the big things in this draft was that, certain parts of it, everybody was looking to move out. And then in other parts of it, everybody was looking to move up because they saw that the pool was kind of dwindling at that tier of the draft. So even not just with the Eagles, a number of teams around the league, there were certain parts where it was like, I want to try and trade up, but teams didn't want to move back in those scenarios. And that's why you saw some teams overpay. I mean, we saw that the Houston Texans trade a future 3rd-round pick to select a running back on day 3 of the draft, right? You just saw a lot of those teams felt like we had to overpay if we wanted to try and get our player.
Yeah, and there was not a lot of interest, even though the Texans traded the future 3rd, there was not a lot of interest in next year's picks because the Eagles have a ton of them next year, and there wasn't really a lot of interest in that during this draft.
Yeah, and I think that, again, it was a weird trade market just because of the nature of this class. It was a lackluster group overall. I mean, we talk about the lack of the blue chip talent, but even at certain stages of the draft where you usually see, hey, there's a lot of talent, on middle of day 2 or something, they just kind of leveled off a little bit earlier than normal. That not to say that there's not talent throughout. There always is. So you'll never catch me, downplaying it in its totality that way. But I would say overall, compared to other classes we've seen contextually, It was just not a great group overall.
Well, it was also different in the sense that you had a lot of linemen, right? Like, you a lot of linemen, linebackers, safeties. Like, there was more of a dearth of skill players, I think, is what colored this draft. Look at the first round. I mean, teams knew it. Teams are like, yo, we got to go get our own linemen.
Yeah, and I posted a thread on Twitter and on Blue Sky yesterday on Sunday, just kind of looking at each position in the draft, position by position, and the volume of players selected compared to the last 5 years, the last 10 years. And it kind of gave you a sense of where the strengths and weaknesses of this class were. And there was a lot of linemen. Certainly, like, the numbers ended up being there at wide receiver or at corner, but you saw them go a little bit later. And honestly, some of these guys that did go on day 2, the profiles weren't great, right? And so it was just, I think at the end of the day, just a weird group, certainly for the skill players, to your point.
All right, so let's look at the burst. So, but I mean, I liked it. I thought they came away with some talent, and they took a shot on I think, calculated risk on some upside guys. So I overall, I liked it. I'm just curious what you think overall. Well, I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid group. But obviously, look, so much of it hangs on Jihaad Campbell. And, you know, Andrew Mukuba is going to be a player that we're closely following just because they chose to make him the third safety off the board. You know, you had those first 2 guys go, and then it was a glut. It was a cluster of, 5 or 6 guys. So, to me, you're trusting your convictions there. And you're going to say, okay, Vic Fangio, defensive staff, personnel staff, scouting staff, who do you guys feel is the best of this bunch? And they ended up landing on Mukuba there, who I think fits absolutely the way that they want to play. I would say he's got some highs, he's got some lows, but and there were other guys, me personally, that were maybe a little bit more consistent, but you follow your conviction there, and they did there with Mukuba, who I've watched now for the last few years, and he is a very fun player. I think that he's going to play well for Eagles fans here this summer. Like, you're going to see flashes of him in the preseason, say, like, yes, this is a guy that I want to see more of on my TV screen.
Well, what's funny is that he's very similar to CJ.
Right. Yes, there are some similarities there in terms of certainly like the play personality, right? It's just the way that he flies around. I think CJ was probably a little bit more natural of like a pure nickel guy, right? Like in terms of like matching up one-on-one in coverage, a former corner. I think when you look at Mukuba, like he's spent some time in the slot, but similar to Sidney Brown, where it's like, yeah, he's done that in college, and maybe Sidney did that a little bit his rookie year, but not a guy you want majoring there. Yeah, you want him playing deep off the ball.
Yep. No, I'm with you. I like Robinson. We had Matt Rhule on earlier. I think terrific rotational guy. He'll come right in, and he's going to give you what he's going to give you, man, which is he's going to be relentless, right? He's a really good athlete, strong as all get out, and he's an effort guy all the way.
Yeah, speaking with Matt and speaking with other members of that staff over the course of the spring, there were everybody raves about Robinson. Off the field, this is a guy that has put in a lot of work. Workman-like player. When you watch him on tape, it's like, all right, like you just check lots of boxes there in terms of what he can do. Earns the Senior Bowl invite, goes to the combine, blows that out of the water. I was impressed with the overall workout from Ty Robinson in Indianapolis. Not just the testing, but even just watching him go through drills. I thought he did an outstanding job there. And you know what you're getting. Yeah, you know what you're getting with Ty Robinson, and obviously the athletic testing points to a high ceiling as well. 6th year senior, he's a little bit older, didn't really break out until his 6th year. That's always a little bit of a red flag for me, but I think you know what you're getting with Ty Robinson, and for a team that has lost defensive line depth, that can be valuable.
So, what do you think about McWilliams? Can you make me feel better about it?
Honestly, like he was my favorite of the day 3 picks, and because when I watched McWilliams, first off, like my first exposure to him was the Senior Bowl. I thought he was one of the best corners there.
I'll defer to you. Were down there with him, so
really sticky in coverage and one-on-one drills. And I was late to get to him because he was a late addition to the Senior Bowl, and so it was like, all right, I'm excited to see this guy on tape. And when I watched him, this is a guy that's got man-to-man chops. He can cover. Played a lot on the outside. Did play some on the inside as well. I think he's got some inside-outside versatility. I love the competitiveness. It's kind of like Mukuba, where you watch him play and you're like, yeah, he's going to fit in really well. He's very aggressive, very competitive. I love that style of play. The questions I had with him, overall the size, he's on the smaller side. That's why a lot of people have said, all right, he's going to be a nickel corner only. I do think that he's got enough there to be able to play on the outside. The only thing, honestly, that gives me pause about playing the outside, his ability to find the ball late down the field. So if he's challenged on a vertical route, he could be a little bit late to get his head back around to find the ball. The speed's there, the toughness is there. It's just that, that feel. Some guys have that
I just thought he was a little small, but
No question. So honestly, it's very, very similar to Avonte Maddox. Maddox was an outside corner only at Pitt, played a ton of ball there for Narduzzi, and it was like, all right, well, at that size, can he play on the outside? I was like, yeah, he actually in a pinch he can do it, but he probably projects better to the nickel. That's how I feel about McWilliams. I ended up giving him a grade of like a third or fourth corner, and I think that he's probably, I trended more towards the latter, more as like a fourth corner in the league. But if you told me 5 years from now that he ended up being like a solid nickel corner in the league, that would not shock me at all.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Of the later project picks, and we'll get to the quarterback when we talk about the whole draft, but of the project picks, the upside shots, who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's reasons to get excited about all of these players. I think just adding, especially these two talented tackle prospects in Cameron Williams and Miles Hinton, both guys have that ability to outperform that draft slot. There was a stage, we'll say, November, where Cameron Williams was in a lot of mock drafts. We were going in the 20s, in the 30s, in mock drafts.
Dude, I think he's a guard.
He might be. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that he's a 3-year player at Texas and didn't start until this past year. I honestly, as I was watching more film on him as the season progressed, I was like, this guy's got to go back to school. Because if he goes back to school, when we're now in the week, it'll probably be next week where it's going to be the too early 2026 mock drafts. Cameron Williams would have been in every single one of those. It would have been, he's going to go, it would have been in the 20s, middle of the first round. And everyone says, hey, you know what? His play fell off down the stretch, but if he takes that next step, he's a first round pick all day. And that would have been my assumption if he had gone back to school. He was flagged 17 times in 16 games last year. The penalties gave up a lot of pass rush production. The play overall just dropped a year ago. I know that his weight has fluctuated over the course of his career. So, there's things you say, all right, like if this guy's able to mature, if he really buys in, if he attends all the classes in Stoutland University, they really could get a boom on this investment. When you look at Miles Hinton, he's got NFL bloodlines. He moves well for a guy that big. He's played at 2 different programs that are known for turning out NFL offensive linemen, first at Stanford, then at Michigan. This guy's got ability. It's just about, again, kind of lighting that fire. Say, all right, you've got that ability to be that dominant player. I feel good about his ability to have like a higher floor than Williams. I think Williams has the higher ceiling. Both guys have traits, so it's about, we'll see if either of them can hit.
Yeah, well said. All right, so the story of the draft, and this is just from a media standpoint, was, of course, Shedeur. The quarterbacks and stuff. We you and I talked about 100 times. There just wasn't that level of play, and teams showed you that. Teams told you that the prospect level was pretty low. Look, I love McCord and I love the kid. I think it's a perfect spot for him, right? Like, just go sit 2 years, right? At least you just work behind your third stringer. You just learn, you watch, you're part of that quarterback room, and it's the perfect thing for you. And then maybe, you develop into something that you got an arm, you got tools. It's a great spot for him. And I think it's a great spot for the Eagles in that, your quarterback factory, right? I watched Andy Reid flip A.J. Philly, right? Like, you can do that stuff, and you'll be able to develop them. You always want a day 3 quarterback.
Yeah, I think that this is an ideal landing spot for any quarterback, where it's like, hey, you know what, you can come in, you can be that guy, the number 3 guy behind Tanner McKee, obviously behind Jalen Hurts. You get to sit and learn. I'm going to be fascinated just to see how this quarterback market develops in the draft over the next couple of years. We talked about this in the offseason. You point to Cam Ward, who went back and exhausted his eligibility, had that extra year and said, you know what, I'm going to go back. I was a day 3 pick if I were to enter the 2024 draft, and he turns into the #1 overall selection. That's an extreme outlier, right? I'm not saying that every guy that if he goes back for that extra year is going to turn into a top 5 pick, but Jaden Daniels did it the year before. Other guys, you have that ability to make that leap. Joe Burrow made that leap in his final season as well. So when I look at Kyle McCord, who he had another year, when I look at Quinn Ewers, who went in the 7th round, he had another year. Jalen Milroe had a lot of time. He ended up being a day 2 selection. A lot of these guys was like, man, like if they had gone back, what could they have done with another year of starting experience under their belt? Now like Milroe's going to go, and maybe he's going to compete for the #2 job. Obviously, we know McCord will be the #3 here in Philadelphia. Ewers is going to be battling for a roster spot here this summer. He's got no guarantee to make it in Miami. Spencer Rattler was that guy a year ago, was the 3rd quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. Ended up getting a couple starts due to injury, but what would have happened with Spencer Rattler if he'd gone back to school, whether it was at South Carolina or somewhere else? Could he have played his way into that? So it's going to be fascinating to track this over the next couple of years. I always said though about this quarterback group in general, it was lacking at the top, and it was. Obviously we saw Shedeur fall. I don't think anybody expected he was going to fall to the 5th round. It was like that was a jump that I think that was a little bit unprecedented in that way. But when you see Cam Ward go 1, I thought it was just going to be one quarterback. Honestly, going into draft day, I thought it was just going to be the one guy go. We know that Jackson Dart got traded up for with the New York Giants, but this was a better quarterback class on the whole. We saw 13 go, which is more than the average over the last decade, more than the average over the last 5 years. So I think when you're looking at it, it was a solid group for developmental backup types. It just wasn't a lot of pop at the top.
What do you what's your overall assessment of Shedeur and why he slipped that far?
Honestly, I feel like part of it was that it was misplayed on his side of it going into the process. There was a lot of talk, and Coach Prime said this, said as much. Really over the last year was that we're not going to play anywhere where we don't want to play. We're going to pick our spot, right? And he was going to determine that, and I think that mindset kind of continued into the combine, and obviously that didn't go well, right? And I think that tune changed in their side of it. We'll say a few weeks ago, where that's when he started taking visits to teams that were picking in the bottom of the 1st round, much less the New Orleans Saints picking at 9, because there was a mock draft that came out. ESPN, Field Yates put out a mock draft just before the combine, and he had Shedeur falling to #9 to the New Orleans Saints. And they laughed at that, publicly, put out a video laughing at the idea of him falling to #9 in the draft. And so clearly that was the mindset at that point. And things have changed drastically, for that camp. So look, it was a confluence of factors. The tape, as we always talked about, the tape was not great this past year. He was just outside my top 50 or just inside my top 50. He was 49 or 51, whatever it was on my final big board. So I thought he could maybe work himself into be a low-end starter, or was more likely to be a high-end backup somewhere in that range. And so if you're going off of that, that's obviously not a lock to go in the 1st round. And if you're going to say all right, I'm only going to whittle myself down to these handful of teams, well, that's the amount of teams that are going to be willing to draft you, right? Yeah. Not every team is going to be invested in especially quarterbacks that they don't put a lot of time with in over the course of the pre-draft process. I spoke with somebody close to Shedeur Sanders on Friday morning. I'm all the days meshed together, and it was it's Pittsburgh or Cleveland. And once Cleveland passed on those first 2 choices, in the 2nd round, I texted about it that morning, was man, I don't know if Cleveland's going to be taking a quarterback. And the guy responded I know, ... And I was and Pittsburgh doesn't pick till round 3. And he was I know, ... So I think they had an expectation once he fell out of the 1st round that a drop could happen. But yeah, it was certainly a crazy storyline over those 3 days.
And then for Cleveland to take him after they take a quarterback previously, that's wild.
That one feels like ownership for me personally.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was because you don't trade up, because that's the thing is it wasn't just they selected Dylan Gabriel, they traded up to get Gabriel, and then they traded up to get Shedeur. That's my guess is that was an ownership-driven kind of move there on day 3. But look, they'll let those guys battle it out. I think honestly, that's yeah. I'm interested to see how that battle goes here this summer.
Yeah, that'll be a story.
How about for me? I mean, just from seeing names, it seems as a noob that the Giants did okay, other than the quarterback. Like they got the Scatterboo, they had Abdul Carter, and this Darius Alexander. I read good things about him. Does it seem like the Giants did okay?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Scatterboo pick. I think he pairs well with Tyrone Tracy, who they got some pop from as a rookie last year. He was a former receiver, so he's kind of like a space player. And so taking Scatterboo to kind of pair with him, I think is a nice pairing. I think when you're looking at Darius Alexander, where I struggled with him, Greg, was that he was a guy. When I graded him in the fall, I graded him as a backup. He's an older player, 24-year-old super senior at Toledo. The production wasn't always there, but I like some of the traits. He's got some versatility. Then he goes to the Senior Bowl, and that grade was after like 2 or 3 games that I did in like November. So then he goes to the Senior Bowl, and man, he was one of the best players down there. I watch him, I'm like, man, like he looks awesome. I am too low on this player. And then I go back through the film again, and I'm like, no, like the film's not great. And he kind of played down to his competition at times. He'd go up against Mississippi State in the SEC, and he'd play like gangbusters, and then he'd play against Eastern Michigan and Bowling Green and be like, like he just doesn't impact the game. It was never more than second-team All-MAC. Like, we're not talking about a guy who was MAC Defensive Player of the Year and like the guys that just dominated that level. And so when I'm talking about an older player, again, a 6th-year senior, going to be 25 later this fall, and didn't produce at a lower level at the high rate, I struggled with him as a super high pick. Now, I think where they ended up getting him is perfectly fine. I struggled with the trade up for Jackson Dart. They didn't have to give up too much to go up and get him, but I struggled with that, especially when you've got those 2 vets. People have said like, oh, well, he's got the ability to come in and compete. I would be surprised if he's going to start more than a few games this year. Personally, Jackson Dart, I don't think he's going to be ready to start week 1, just coming from that system. But who knows? Maybe he'll prove me wrong in that way.
No, I agree.
It all makes me feel better about the Giants.
I actually think the Cowboys had a good draft.
I agree. And honestly, I think Washington had a sneaky good draft too.
Yeah.
Both those teams I thought did pretty well. Dallas, they took the approach of we're going to stick to our board. We're not going to force the issue, which there was concern in talking with people that they were going to force the issue. We're going to take a receiver just because we need a receiver. And Tetsuo McMillan, who would have been the pick, he goes off the board at 8 to Carolina. So it was like, all right, are they going to force it and take another receiver? Another one didn't go until the 20s, which obviously would have been bad value. No, they said that we're going to take the best player on the board. Tyler Booker, I think, was a really good pick for them. I love the corner they took in the 3rd round. Shavon Revel was a top 15 player for me in this draft. Had he stayed healthy, he would have been a 1st-round pick. So you get the corner from ECU there. They get Ezeraku in the 2nd round. We've talked plenty about Ezeraku. I thought that was a good draft for Dallas.
What do you think about Seattle? Because that looked to me like they had the most familiar names for me. It was a lot of names we talked about. I was like, man, they got that one, that one, that one.
Yeah, our friend Sheil Kapati over at the Ringer tweeted out. He said that they're gonna have Fran Duffy's favorite draft class, because it was a lot of guys that were very high on my board. Okay. And then when you're looking at Seattle, you get Zabel. They took Milroe late in day 2. They took Arroyo in the 2nd round. I mean, a lot of guys that I was higher on than consensus. That's the thing with these draft grade articles you're gonna read over the next couple of days is basically it's through the lens of the writer, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, whoever, if you were high on
grades are the most meaningless nonsense.
Yeah. Stop it. The Eagles got like an A everywhere. Let me have the A.
The whole thing's stupid.
I'll take the A. I'll take a stupid A.
It's stupid.
Yeah, the way I'm going to write it, it's going to be like, hey, these were picks I loved. These were picks where I could see the vision, and these were picks where I'm going to wait and see. That kind of idea. So I'm not going to be giving out letter grades.
Fran, people are asking me. Can you give us a breakdown on the speed and quickness of the mice in the building that night?
Honestly, like really impressive. I asked Bo when it happened, like afterwards, I was like, and especially it was after I watched it back. I was like, you were scared. And look, I get it, because they ran out. It was like 20 feet to your guys left. They were doing circles for a good 30 seconds, high speed, turn the corner. You talk about run the hoop drill, the ankle flexion on those mice. It was impressive.
How many were there?
7 on 7.
I mean, it was 2, but they moved around like it was 7 or 8, and they were chasing each other. And then they say it was quite the sight.
There's more in the walls.
That's the thing. Is it
Wow.
when we were talking about this? Is like if for two, because we were in there loud. We've been in there for a few hours, and there were 6 of us in the room.
Yeah.
For them to be brazen enough to come out at just that far away, not a good sign.
No, we're going to be overrun at some point. It's going to be Willard. It's not good. It's not good.
No.
Not good.
Franny, great stuff. You just killed it. Killed it, buddy.
Yeah, nice work, man.
Thank you,
all
brother.
weekend. You guys
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Great work.
Yep, I appreciate it. More to come, certainly on allphly.com.
Oh, yeah, we're
Like I
going to
said, I'm
get,
do the piece,
you and I are
reacting.
going to be doing once a week, figuring stuff out,
Yep.
looking at next year and everything else.
I'll be writing up the Eagles' undrafted free agents. That'll be a piece on the site soon, too, and we'll be breaking it down on the PHLY Eagles show as well.
Love it. Love it. Good stuff, brother. Thank you. The
Thanks,
legend.
guys.
Nice
He's
work, Franny.
Doing amazing stuff.
Yeah, he is.
Fran Duffy. We're in overtime. That's right. OT. Man, this show just flew by.
Yeah. Can we do some nugs?
Yeah, let's
You got
do
some
it.
time? Catch you up with some stuff from the weekend?
Please.
All right. Some
Take
stuff.
it over, VG.
Yeah, we'll do a little bit. Our friend of the show, Kyle McCord, I thought it was interesting. They have Cuse tweeted out on it, or put it out on Instagram, him telling his family who he got drafted by because they had no idea. Pretty good. Being a hometown kid. Have you seen us?
I haven't, but I will say that I was texting with Derek, his father.
Here he is.
You know what team or no?
No.
The Eagles.
That's awesome. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, dude. It's like
His dad, God bless him.
dog's tail wagging, dog ends up barking, everyone's all fired up.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
Love it.
The CBS Sunday Morning. You watch this show?
You know what? I sometimes
I like it.
I love the show.
Yeah.
I love the show. But now we're in such sports mode, like baseball mode. I'm not a.
You start early on Sundays on baseball?
Oh God, dude, you have no idea. Yeah.
That
I live at that. We live at the field.
Yeah.
On weekends.
All right. The GOAT was on.
Brady?
Bill Belichick.
Oh, Belichick.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. With his friend was with him.
Oh yeah, his girl.
She's vocal during the awkward. The interview was completely awkward the whole time. But
Who did it? Who did the
chimes
interview?
in.
I love that. I love.
I forget
CBS
the guy
Sunday.
who did. I forget.
I'm a big CBS Sunday Morning fan.
Yeah.
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks.
Look at
Just
him
try
ripping
to
his
do what I feel
sweatshirt. It's
like
the
is
greatest.
Best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on.
What?
Yeah,
I'm not talking about
How'd
this.
you meet? Yeah, we're not talking about that.
There's some weird.
Yeah, come on, man.
Money.
It was. He got that tattered. It's probably a designer hoodie, you know.
It's a navy hoodie.
It's
that's
not
ripped.
worn. It's not worn out like that. There's no
Right.
way she's letting him wear some ratty.
Oh, he
worn
bought
out-
that.
Yeah,
That's a
he bought
buy.
it like
That's
that.
a buy.
Navy hoodie?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. That's a
totally,
pre-rip.
dude.
No, I
Yeah,
disagree.
that's a
That's a
designer
pre-rip.
rip. That's a
That's a
designer
rip.
Yeah,
He's
dude.
been he wears the ripped shirts all the time.
I don't know about that one.
She's on him, making sure he looks all good.
Go back to it. It looks like a real rip.
No.
It looks like a real rip.
Even if they just
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there.
Get
Everybody
her
in
over
the
there.
world seems to be
Dude,
following
that's
this
not-
relationship.
That's pre-rip.
They've
You
got
can
an
tell on the
opinion about
collar.
your private life.
Right
It's
here.
got nothing to do with them, but they're
I'll
invested
pause.
in it. How do you deal with that?
Pause this.
Never
been too worried about what everybody else.
No, that's a
Just
real
try to
rip.
do what I feel like is
You
best for me
think
and what's right.
that's an
How did
old
you guys
ratty
meet?
shirt that he's had for
It's
years?
just a rip. Like why?
But it's
why
got like stains on it. It
that's
looks
It's a
like
topic
designer.
neither one
she's
of them
wearing
is
navy. What's
comfortable
up with the navy
commenting
stuff?
on.
He's a big Navy guy. Man, look at that face. He looks mean. Oh, the stories are legendary.
I'm
Like
saying this hoodie's older than she is.
so creepy. It's so,
So
weird.
weird. There's
something
Yes.
going on there.
Strange.
What else we got? Oh, this lady went to get beers. She was like, she's like in the third or fourth
Jay,
row.
the bro said that the hoodie's 40 years old. Because his father coached there. We know that.
I still think it's a designer.
He said it's stained. He's right.
I know it is stained.
Yeah, but like they do that.
Dude, that's an old hoodie. That's not who makes a design. It's not like jeans.
You can get a designer
They do that with
anything
shirts
at
too,
this point.
yeah.
Not with a navy hoodie sweatshirt.
Yeah, you can send that off to people, these Instagrammers who will cut it up and make it look old.
Out of here.
I'm telling you.
Not with a not doing it with that shirt.
Some lady had really nice seats at, I think it's a Detroit game, the Tigers game. She went to get beers. She should have ordered the beers. Didn't work out for her.
Oh, no. What happened?
It's a breaking ball down and in.
Here she comes. Yeah.
Oh!
Her head at the end, the bounce at the end.
Oh, that's horrible. Right
the
Idaho play, too. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, they need seat service there. They got to bring the beers to those people with those seats there.
Oh, that's a shame, man.
You coach Little League, you play Little League, or you're watching Little League. The Giants, did you see their Little League home run last night to win the game?
No.
Yeah, dude, it's sweet. Texas, they had a Little League home run.
Who is it?
The San Francisco Giants. Just watch, you'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Awesome.
No, I've seen plenty of those.
Yep. Also, like to see the Mets not playing their best ball. Had a 7-1 lead yesterday.
Yeah, how about that?
And here's the Nats walk off to win it 8-7.
Ground ball right side. Alonso gives with it. Throw is high to Stanek at the bag. Abrams will come in. The Nats walk it off again.
Oh, poor Pete Alonso.
Love it.
All right, let's end with a little hockey.
Yeah.
Little Russian hockey.
Oh, really?
Because I can't get enough of
Zavragin?
Zavragin highlights. And when you hear them call his name out, he had an assist. Look at this.
Zavragin.
Look at his stick work.
Заврагин из ворот вышел. Будет атаку начинать. Да, длинную передачу делает Егор Заврагин под дальнюю синюю линию. Быстро проходит среднюю зону. Игра, выход 1-1. Гол! Егор Заврагин.
Егор Заврагин.
Как здорово армейцы ловят на смене омских ястребов. Егор Граф выводит во второй раз вперед в этом матче.
Yeah, I can't get enough of the Zavragin highlights. Yeah, that's all I got.
I like that. Yeah. I like the Zavragin.
Want to do some back in the day? Back in the day.
Let's go.
All right.
Back in the day. Back in the day.
We're going back, 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 back. We're going back, 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 back. We're going back, 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 back. Back in the day with Rite Aid. Yeah!
Yeah!
I forget how old this is. Maybe it's 93, I think. It's got to be. John Kruk on Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update, played by Chris Farley. I gave you the wrong one?
Gave me NASCAR.
Oh, anyway, this is interesting.
All right.
This slant. I had no idea what the slants were on these tracks. We'll have the back in day tomorrow.
Okay.
But these slacks, do you know how steep these are?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at one right now.
It's wild.
You want to make sure the car doesn't come off the track, right? Is that why it's like that?
Check this out.
Dude, that's insane.
Damn.
I had no clue they were that steep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's 33 degrees. This is Talladega.
I gave it a look down.
33 degrees?
Yeah, that's
Wow.
a Talladega. Yep. All right, that's my bad. My bad on the wrong link.
No, that's all right. That's still interesting. Talladega Nights. You threw back the Talladega.
You like that? You big fan
Jimmy
of that?
Bobby.
Big fan of that?
What's it called? Tommy Bobby?
I don't know. I
Jimmy
saw it once.
Bobby?
I didn't really love it.
I don't
That was a good movie. Shake and bake, baby.
I can see
Little shake, little bake.
I can totally see him.
Totally.
Yeah. We got a big discussion in the chat over distressed or not.
It's not
the shirt.
distressed. It's not. It's an Old Navy sweatshirt.
Chat's feeling it might be.
It might be old.
It might be distressed.
No, I don't think it's. I don't, but you know, who knows? Chat usually knows better than I do.
I'm trying to do some deductive
I just don't think so. It looks like why would that be? It's just a little sliver. Like it's not even like, you know, several. Like it wouldn't. You know, you want it to look normal. Like I don't know. Whatever. I don't get it. I don't think so. She is.
It's a whole weird. The whole thing is weird, man.
Was she in any parts of the interview? I actually want to go back and watch it.
I didn't see her. I didn't watch the whole thing. I have it taped. I just saw clips. They asked him about being.
Was that the only
they
time?
asked him about being on the beach doing those poses, holding her up and stuff. And he's just like, I don't pay much attention to that. I don't have social media. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
same old stuff he's always done.
He'll pose for the photo, but he won't pay attention to.
Yeah.
Well, she's doing it.
Yeah, I know.
You really think he cares?
I think there's a lot of money involved in that one.
Yeah.
Buying love.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us today. Great job, Andrew. What do we got tonight to watch? No Phillies. We
There's
got
hockey tonight.
Well, I know there's hockey. The Lynch.
Yeah.
I'll be all in on the Lynch.
You got the Senators, Maple Leafs.
Tucci and I will be texting over
Maple Leafs clinch
over
tonight.
hockey.
No, that's tomorrow. Tonight we got Lightning, Panthers, Avalanche, Stars.
Oh, that's it? We only get 2 games?
Yeah.
Oh, that stinks. NBA, we got 2 games too, I think. Yeah. Cavs, Heat, Rockets, Warriors. That's actually a good series, the Rockets, Warriors.
Yeah, nothing even late. Marlins, Dodgers.
No bad sports night.
Yep.
That's all right. All right, everybody. Have a great day. We love you. Hope you enjoyed all the draft stuff. More to come all week long. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.